3 months after saving another world, it's finally time to go home. Stepping onto the magic circle, the boy bids Japan farewell. He cheered, begging this fantasy world to embrace him. Standing in a massive field, the boy tests his limits. Frustrated to be back, he clenches his fist, then opens his palm as a flame suddenly erupts. 4 years ago, he was summoned to Andalusia to slay the Demon King, mission complete. He was kicked back to Earth, but 3 months later, he's back with all his hero powers. He raises his hands, sprouting a path from the earth. As he plans his next move, survivors try to bolt, but invisible forces snatch their legs. They're shocked he's chasing girls when Ilyugia already offers everything his soul desires. Dwarves, demons, beast girls, and elves. This world is packed with beauties, all united by the hero's power after 3 years of non-stop war. He's back for one reason: to become a hero in this world of swords and magic. The old man's stunned. The kid's power is insane for crushing those mercenaries while backed into a corner. He scratches his head awkwardly, saying he was just in the right place at the right time. He dodged this road for a year to avoid bandits. But the real danger was far deadlier. The boy truly saved his life. The boy smiled and agreed, then asked if this road would truly lead him to Andalusia. Surprised by the question, the man eyes the boy, who forces an awkward, uneasy smile. The man says this road only leads to Vez, reminded of asking for directions to Tokyo back in Japan. The boy smiles, feeling like an idiot for his dumb question. Back in the carriage, he realized Milis and Vej were completely new lands he'd never even heard of. Reaching the City of Towers, the boy is summoned and exiled to the lethal demon continent. A one-way trip. The royals used him and bailed, but he's glad to finally be. The man yelled to Amaye as they reached the Adventurers Guild, bowing and thanking him before rushing off while Amaye gave a cheerful wave goodbye. Amaji hits the guild counter, where a girl drops registration papers and smiles, promising to handle everything in Namirfin. Haruto starts flirting, asking Ethna to call him by name. She's stunned but agrees, so he reminds her to finally register him at the guild. He's already picturing himself in her lap. She sighs, signaling his work is done and the real fun begins. Haruto's stoked, blushing as Ethna hands him a form and asks if he's even literate. Garudo admits he's weak, so Ethna handles the paperwork. She asks if he's serious about being an adventurer, and he says yes, instantly. She scribbles a note, demanding he learn to read and write. She asks where he was born, but he just smiles, knowing it's impossible. Garudo mentions his quiet village, so she jumps to the final question, curious about his requests. Ethna explains the different types and asks for his pick. Garudo weighs his options carefully, torn between teaching himself or finding a tutor to master reading and writing. He admitted he loves hunting demons and guarding merchants. Ethna smiled sweetly, telling him he'd already proven his skills. Arudo's heart melts at her sweetness until she suddenly demands his fingerprint on the document she's prepped. He stared at the papers, paralyzed by anxiety. He couldn't sign, and Ethna's handwriting was a total blur. Imprint set, registration complete. The girl tells Haruto to wait while his guild card is prepped. Sunset was coming. He needed shelter fast, but Ethna stopped him with a sudden request. He turns bright red, realizing he was so focused on their search for a room that he ran out of time. He pictured Ethna explicitly, hoping her guilt would score him an overnight stay. Haruto snaps back to reality, smirking at his impossible dreams. Rubbing his head sheepishly, he asks, "What's with the weird question?" Ethna warns a hero's coming from the capital. They need to clear the southern gate. Demons fast, and Haruto freezes. Stunned, the boy couldn't believe the hero was actually there. Ethna just smiled, pointing to the paper goblins were invading. The boy cut his speech short, shouting to know if the hero was even real. The girl just smirked, asking if he was truly clueless. They found a new sacred sword wielder and went public. Haruto turns pale at the news. He had no clue what a real sacred swordmaster looked like. Panicking, he broke into a cold sweat as everything felt wrong. Hands trembling, he slumped, questioning the need for a hero now that the Dark Lord is long dead. Etna's stunned. She's never heard of this. She asks if he's actually dead. Garudo trembles, admitting he heard it from a kid. Ethna's skeptical the Demon King's death would be massive news. Garudo just laughs, figuring he misunderstood. Discussing demon slaying, he froze. Why were there multiple Demon Kings? Garudo realized if every nation has this, it's a global threat. Ethna just smiled and left it at that. Noticing his look, she asks, "What's wrong?" Haruto explains he just needs to clear some roadside goblins. Stunned, Garudo pins himself to the map and spins to "Nah, ever heard of Andalusia?" The girl apologizes, never having heard of it. Garudo pales, realizing the map looks nothing like Andalusia. Panic hits. Is this really Andalusia? Ethna suggests the map is wrong. Garudo needs to hit the guild by 8 a.m. After Ethna points out the local shops, he lies in bed, realizing Andalusio isn't a secret. It's a whole new world. He rolled over, gripped by a mysterious fear. He couldn't read, but he knew Andalusian script was unique, and Edna's handwriting was actually impressive. Drifting off, he prayed she'd forgive him. The night flew by unnoticed. Haruto kills his alarm. Stunned, that morning is already here. He dreamed of waking up between two beauties, making him blush. Haruto exits to find a man waiting. Seeing him awake, he asks if he slept well. Finally sleeping well, the man beamed, knowing Ka would be thrilled. Haruto nibbled bread, loving the cozy bed. He thanks the cook, packs the leftovers, and gets a good luck for his new job. Haruto hits the street, remembering the inn. The stay cost 4,000 coals plus 30,000 for a short sword. No rush, but he still arrives by 7:30. He strode in, cocky and handsome. But 10 minutes past the start, the room is still empty. Haruto's busy dreaming of winning Etna over when a stranger bursts in, bracing to drop a bombshell. She shouts a loud greeting, counting on their support again today. Etna bursts in, greets Sharon, and tells her to stop screaming. She shouts an apology, but freezes at what she sees. Sharon insists, morning greetings need energy, just like her grandma always said. Haruto remembers the promised companion, blushing as he admits he's just tired of being alone. Ethna steps in to introduce Sharon Amaji. Like Sharon, Gerudo's a rookie adventurer who just soloed 15 bandits and wields magic. Sharon's hyped about the 15 bandits. He's a wizard. She's losing her mind. Etna introduces Sharon to the guy. Seeing the rookie only doing odd jobs, Etna decides they'll team up to stay safe. Gerudo's surprised Sharon's a fellow adventurer. He thinks it's unladylike, but quickly shrugs it off, introducing himself with a warm greeting. Sharon bows and introduces herself, beaming. He smiles, seeing her shine like a child. Grabbing the gear, they find the search zone already marked time to clear out the goblins. He shuts the map. This close to the city, he wants to find anyone truly strong. He asks Sharon if it's time to go, tells her to drop the formalities since they're the same age, and orders her to follow his lead, because she has zero combat experience. She confirmed she understood, and Haruto flashed a smile. They hit the road, but armed goblins suddenly burst from the bushes. Nervous, Sharon lunges with a short blade, eyes shut tight as she strikes. She collapses, gasping, relieved it's finally over. Haruto looks back, impressed for once. She actually did great. He hands her a handkerchief, warning her to treat the wound. She pauses, stares, and takes it with a sincere thanks. Haruto fails to use his healing magic and suggests a break. Sharon thanks him and agrees. Haruto stayed ice cold, diving into the goblin forest without hesitation and dropping pro tips for her. He grins, assuring her it's normal once she adjusts. She'll handle him solo. Sharon's a natural. She froze, blushing as she asked if it was real, but Haruto knew it was barely true. He reminds her Etna promised to slay the goblin, but she freezes, asking what he means in total confusion. Sharon admits he talks like a true hero. She's always dreamed of being a sidekick, helping others, and finally slaying the Demon King. Haruto listened closely as she shared her grandma's advice. Always help others. Haruto believed real heroes worked alone. He didn't get the hype behind sidekicks, but he smiled and told Sharon he understood. He wondered if others shared his mindset, but Sharon jumped up, ready to go. They bolted. Suddenly, a massive jolt hits. She scanned the area in shock, searching for the cause. A massive, breathtaking sight unfolded behind them. Gerudo's stunned. This monster rose straight from the earth, masking its presence until the very last second. The monster roars, and Gerudo knows he's in trouble. He grabs Sharon and hurls her behind him. The monster charges up and slams Haruto with a full power strike. He slips and slams down hard, his hands burn, but nothing's broken. Looking at Sharon, he knows that hit would have killed her. He shouts, asking if she felt okay. Speechless and terrified, she asks what it is, as a monster looms behind her. It stalks closer, and she's paralyzed by pure horror, unable to move. He screams for her to get up, but then he spots something incredible. Sharon presses tight, her legs soaked, while the stunned boy questions if this is even real. The monster lunges. Sharon warns him, and he spins to react instantly. The monster recoils. Haruto orders Sharon back, but she hesitates, terrified to leave him. He's got the monster handled and warns she'll only slow him down. Convinced, she backs off. Haruto grinned, time to settle the score for good. He steps forward, hand raised, charging his magic. Vines erupt under the monster. Haruto just cast earth binding. The trapped monster roars, shaking the earth as it shatters its chains and bursts free. Haruto's surprise strike catches him off guard, letting the boy blitz straight through the monster. Gerudo lands as the beast roars again. He feels his blade, gauging his true power. But there's a catch. He lunges, expertly carving through the beast. This is where his true power peaks. He blurs through them, dropping one after another, pure hype. Haruto sighed and turned to leave, thinking it was over until he suddenly froze. A bright flash sparked behind the monster, rocketed straight for it. A blinding flash and a massive explosion erupt. Haruto shields his face, stunned by the sudden blast. The pitch-black beast collapses. That magic blast caught him off guard, definitely an energy orb. Suddenly, a stranger bursts from the bushes, frantically checking if he saw is okay. This tall, handsome guy sensed a massive magic surge and rushed straight here. Gardo instantly hated the guy's good looks. He'd done the heavy lifting, but this pretty boy stole the kill. Faking gratitude, Gardo asked for his name. Calling it rude, he introduces himself as Leon Van Lavelle. Haruto introduces himself with a smile as Sharon cautiously approaches. He promises she's safe. Leon checks on her, and she shyly gives her name. Garudo spots her wet feet, blushes hard, and snaps his head away. Someone bursts from the bushes and asks Leon if he's okay. The boy tells the unicorn it's safe. A knight confronts Leon for his reckless rushing, while Haruto's stunned by another handsome newcomer. Unicrim asks if that's all. Leon confirms, sensing a massive mana surge. Unicrim feels nothing from 3 kilometers away and praises Leon's insane senses. He introduces Haruto and Sharon, then brings them to the city for backup. Leon tells Sharon the crew's waiting on the forest road and asks her to head out together. Haruto asks if Leon's being a pest, but Leon warns the monster could strike again, and they need to head back to the city fast. Unicrim stopped his friend, warning Leon was pure trouble. After a beat, he agreed and apologized. Leon promises to talk later. Haruto explains they're Torres adventurers heading to the guild to report, and they part ways. Garudo shyly asks Sharon for spare clothes, leaving them both blushing. She had no other clothes. He nodded, wetted a handkerchief, and used magic to sharpen it. Garudo hands Sharon a cloth to clean up. Stunned by his effortless magic, she eagerly asks if she can learn to cast without spells too. Garudo nods, looks away, and tells her to finish wiping. She agrees but tells him not to look. He leaves Sharon lifts her skirt to clean up, while Garudo politely looks away. He heard every detail but couldn't change a thing. She thanks him for waiting and helping, but he warns they can return to the city looking like this, or people will get the wrong idea. She blushed, blaming the goblins for everything, but he just grinned. He meant something else entirely. She chews him out. But his blunders earn him a strange compliment. Sharon stops, questioning the goblin's true identity. Haruto was stunned. Monsters take years to grow this massive, but this one transformed in an instant. Necromancers pump magic into bones, raising them as undead puppets. He looks closer and is stunned the monster has no ears. He pales, staring at the dead goblins. Every one of them still has its ears. Haruto's puzzled. Sharon asks if something's wrong. They're in a rush. He says he's fine and follows. In Sharon, she asks about the guild report. The boy confirms, making her panic, but Haruto vows to keep their secrets. She smiled her thanks. She called him kind. Ethna later reviewed their report. Haruto's stumped by the creature's origin, but Ethna's sure the guild will track the goblin's source. She praises him, calling the mission a success, but Haruto's shocked they just started exploring. She smiles. The hero's here and the job's done. Now, pay up in full. Garudo's hyped for the hero's arrival. In this new world, his old dreams are history. Sharon asks him for combat training and starts throwing punches with everything she's got. Haruto's stronger. He touches her thigh, noting she's already opened up, and Sharon blushes. Forget the cash, his real prize was her touch. It was the ultimate reward, and he immediately clung to her leg. She hits the ground, screaming she's never been hit. Haruto was satisfied. She called him evil, but he just shrugged. It's in his nature. She once swore she'd gladly punch him in the face. Haruto turns back. Know what day it is? Today, the hero returns home. She happily agreed. As the city prepped for a festival, Haruto asked about her plans, so Sharon invited him to the guild to check new quests together. Haruto hesitates, heading back to the hotel. She waves, promising they'll meet again, leaving him deep in thought. Shrugging it off, he heads to the guild for Ethna, but an alleyway surprise catches him off guard. A girl lies on the floor, mumbling in her sleep that she's done eating. He's stunned. Is it just a food coma? The girl snaps, screaming she can't take it anymore. Haruto didn't know her age, but her bold attitude had him blushing. He can leave her exposed in an alley? He wakes her, suggesting she head home to rest. She slowly sits up and locks eyes with him. She asks who owns it. Her reaction stuns Haruto. She speaks so sharply he wonders if she's a child or a cunning old woman. Her eyes snap open, locking onto him. Haruto panics, claiming he's just passing through. Verl asks if they've met, but she brushes it off as irrelevant. Confused by her strange behavior, he watches as she apologizes and asks him to tell her something. She asks if the hero arrives today. Haruto confirms that's why the city's in chaos. She laughs, wanting to see him too. She thanked him and bolted, shouting a quick goodbye. He watched her go, thinking she was weird but charming. On Gerudo Street, he calls Sharon, who reveals Etna picked her new dress. He says the dress looks great. She's never worn one and feels unsure but smiles and thanks him. Garudo stares at her sweetness, wondering if he can take her hand. He's about to act when she points. They head over, but he suddenly halts her and she freezes. 4 people on a passing cart wave and smile at everyone they see. Sharon calls Leon a hero, but Karudo's fuming because he's late. He remembers his hero squad, an old man and a beast man, and curses this unfair world. Suddenly a man steps up and shoves them aside. Sharon presses against him, gasping. Karudo blushes. It's his chance. He reaches for her hand, but sudden laughter ruins the moment. The girl from the alley blocks the carriage, demanding to see the hero. She reveals her name. Lauria von Steinhardt, and she's a devil. Haruto's stunned. The old lady is a flying demon. Sharon demands the truth, while Lauria is baffled by his reaction. Where are the screams? It's just pure confusion, and she can't help but laugh. Leon claims he's a hero and asks what the demoness wants. Surprised, she narrows her eyes in suspicion. It's confusing, but the girl raises her hand and challenges the hero to a duel. Leon steps out, surprised by the proposal. He rejects the city's defense, moving the battle east to a better spot, and Lauria agrees. Sharon insists on joining Haruto. He agrees, but points out she's unarmed and in a dress. Sharon's stunned, then realizes the problem. Leon meets Lauria on the platform as Garudo watches. She smiles, asking if they're ready to strike together. Leon raises his sword and demands an honorable duel. Leon's taking this fight solo. Unicrime offers backup and Leon nods. Laurie praises him but warns Don T. Wait to call for help when things get dangerous. Leon roars the demon girl's name, declaring himself the sacred sword hero, Leon Van Lovell, while Lauria just smirks. They clash, screaming, "It's all or nothing, victory or death." Fist clenched, she commands the world-enveloping entity to guard her, and a massive shield instantly erupts. The hero's sword bounces off, stunning the boy. Garudo and Sharon gape at Lauria's barrier as Leon collapses. He lunges again, but Lauria shields up and stays untouched. Haruto sized up her skills, wondering what actually separates monsters from demons. Demons use monsters as tools. Demons are solitary and look human, but monsters are animalistic pack hunters. Demons and monsters are worlds apart. Leon pivots to magic, fueling up with the sacred sword as Lauria flashes a sly grin. Leon infused his sword with magic and lunged at Laurie, radiant with heavenly light. Was this the sword's true power? As the energy surged toward Laurie, she just grinned. She easily parries the hero. Lemon's baffled, but Haruto knows the truth. Demons are far stronger than monsters. Laurie jokingly asks what happened, expecting a surprise, while Sharon looks around in total confusion. Garudo knew the fight was rigged. Shran panicked, asking if he was okay. Lauria calls Leon a true hero who fights for others, catching him completely off guard. Lauria sneered, wishing she'd targeted his friends first. Leon cursed, but she'd already vanished. Leon pales. Unicram's armor is pierced, blood gushing from his mouth. Lauria landed the hit. Unicram drops cold, leaving Leon in total shock. He lunges at Lauria, and she instantly senses his massive power boost. She eyes his crew and calls him weak. Leon snaps. Leon lunges at Lauria, screaming for her to stay away from Ori and Coraline. But his blows bounce off a magic shield while she just smirks. Hearing his team's names, she offers to heal them for a power boost, but the hero snaps and shuts her down. Garudo's stunned Lauria baited Leon into a trap, and the hero never saw it coming. Laurie shouts her name and blasts a shockwave, shattering the hero's chest as he hits the dirt, cursing in agony. His friends rush over, worried Laurie. A sighs, seeing the hero's exhaustion after his brutal trials. It's a tragedy. She looked away, wondering why she expected more, then suddenly locked eyes with Laurie. Gloria smiles, noting he's the same as when they met. Haruto grins back, admitting he never guessed she was a demon, while Sharon watches, totally lost. Garudo asks if their reunion is fate and tells her to leave. Laurie looks up, thinks, and agrees. He's right. Her eyes go blank. Smiling, she says, it's not enough. She wants to see the hero's full power. She lunges at Garudo in a blink, but he reacts instantly, deflecting her strike. Laurier's impressed Garudo barks at Sharon to run and swings his blade, shoving Laurier back. Back on Earth, the demon returns to her. Laurier notices his insane agility, claiming he's even stronger than the hero. Haruto had to kill the demoness solo. It'd be tough, but failure wasn't an option. She mocked him as he gripped his sword, bracing for the final showdown. Garudo binds the girl with earth magic, but she just smirks. Calling it interesting, she shatters the bonds with a single kick. Garudo's already in her face. Before she can even speak, he swings his blade. Let's try shocked. She shielded up, but Garudo's relentless strikes cracked Laurier's defense, sending her into a panic. Her shield shatters as Garudo smashes through her defense. She caught his blade barehanded, blood instantly soaking her palm. Gudrudo scanned the area, stunned. He released his grip to snatch El Orietta, leaving the crowd floored by their insane power. Laurie smiled at Haruto's power, and he thanked her for the praise. He summons his bonds again, snatching Laurier before she can even react. Stunned, she asks how it's possible, then turns to see him casting magic without a single word. The girl froze. Laurie is a third party or the girl's companion. Mid-sentence, Haruto slashes Laurie. Blood sprays. The girl freezes. A flash and Laurier's hand hits the floor. The hero turns, knowing demon wounds heal in days, while Laurier's face twists with emotion. Haruto thinks she's stalled, but Lorette isn't quitting. She raises her one hand, ready to cast again. Gerudo lunges, raining sword strikes. He once let her get away with this. Stunned, Laurier reels back. Gerudo's relentless assault never stopped, mangling Laurie's other arm and leaving her soaked in blood. She screamed in agony, but he showed no mercy. Laurie begged for her life, standing paralyzed in total despair. She waved in surrender, telling him to stop. Only then did Haruto finally ease his assault. He lowers his blade, asking if she knows her life is now forfeit. She nods, showing her paralyzed right hand to prove she's truly defeated. Laurie stares at her mangled left arm and asks how he could be so cruel to a weak girl, but Gerudo snaps, convinced she's mocking him. She grinned, trusting his power. For once, she actually enjoyed the battle, but Gerudo looked away, muttering he wasn't like her. Keg thrived on the chaos, standing tall to set an example. Laurie asked in her native tongue, if he truly loved the fight, was he really that insane? She burst into a sincere laugh, finally admitting she'd lost it all. Leon's stunned as the girl reveals she's been hunting for a man stronger than her. Since he won their duel, she's fallen in love. Winking at Haruto, she declares. Gerudo didn't get it at first, but as the truth sank in, he gasped in shock, still dazed by the news. Under the scorching sun, Gerudo returns home, lays sleepy Laurie on the bed, and collapses from exhaustion. Haruto wanted payback for getting kicked out of bed. Seeing her missing arm and mangled body didn't move him, even if he was to blame. He stared at her once more. He touches her skin, lifting her sleeping body into his palm. Remembering her confession after yesterday's fight, he decides to fully accept her love. Laurie was a stunning demon. He couldn't stop touching her, already picturing her in his future harem. Leon hated the news, but Gerudo won them over. He beat her, and they had no choice. Leon sighs awkwardly, speechless. Haruto sees the heart of a true hero, while Laurie notes defeat is a vital lesson, earning a playful nudge from Haruto. Sharon's clearly offended, pouting and turning her back on Haruto. Rudo's pleasantly surprised things are getting interesting. Seeing his sly smirk, Sharon flushes and punches him in the gut, yelling, he's got it all wrong. Laurie stops Sharon. Stunned, she actually tagged Gerudo and admits the girl is seriously impressive. Sharon's heart races as Laurie reaches out, a tiny demoness with a bloody hand and a wide grin. For the cautious Sharon, this encounter is a total shock. She flinched but stood her ground. Gerudo realized the demon was as young as she looked, sighing he had originally pegged her for centuries old. Laurier has no memory of her parents. Since waking up in a forest south of the city, she's survived by slaying every demon in her path. Learning a hero exists, she rushes to find Torres. Haruto remembers that forest beast. Even with Laurier's demonic trial power, Sharon killed it in one blow. Bored, Laurie teleports the monster away. Haruto wonders if it's that same goblin from before. He turned away, blaming her for everything. Her weird behavior and El Orge's claim that she recognized him fueled his rage, but he relaxed, glad it was finally over. Gerudo walked off smirking, determined to crack the puzzle. If he can teach Lauria common sense, she'll finally live a normal life. She stirred. He looked down to see her sleeping with her legs spread wide, and the sight stunned him. Haruto blushes and looks away, tempted to try but terrified he'll fail. His hands shake, Laurie glares, demanding answers as she pins him down. Haruto's speechless Laurier remembers his claim. Girls her age aren't his type. She smiles, asking why he messed with her while she slept. Gerudo apologizes, shaking with excitement. But she touches his face and tells him it's fine. Laurie hugs him tight, confessing she's his possession now, and he can do whatever he wants. Haruto blushes, doubting her. His harem dream is finally real, but he's terrified. Does he have the guts to pull it off? Shaking, he leans in to kiss Lurius, but right before they touch, the door slams open. Red Sharon appears at the door, demanding to know what he's been doing all morning. Sharon shouts it's time to train and drags him off Laurie, stunned by her morning hype. While Haruto just smiles at how cute she is, Sharon obeys as Laurie reaches out. Suddenly, Sharon's body lifts and she begins hovering in midair. Oriere. Focus on her spell as Sharon starts shaking. gasping in disbelief as she asks what's happening. "Let's try," Laurier focuses on her. She gasped, demanding to know what this incredible power was as it surged through her while Haru watched in silence. Gerudo smiles nervously as magic body enhancement training begins. Laurier wants him to buff Sharon, but success means his face is toast. After their morning fun, Gerudo's overthinking every word she. Laureate smiled, declaring it finished, then told Sharon to move aside to ensure success. Sharon obeys instantly, moving with a speed and precision far better than before. Rudo's blown away as her stats skyrocket. Sharon grins at Lori. It worked. With this insane power, she's unstoppable. Sharon hugs the demoness in thanks. Laurier laughs, calling it proof of their bond. Haruto and Sharon became fast friends, and he liked her so much he even considered returning half her fee. Sharon mastered a power-boosting spell that skips 10 years of training. He learned it on his last quest, proving why he was once a legendary hero. Sharon smirks, calls Haruto teacher, and challenges him to a duel, claiming she still relies on him. She was locked in. Gerudo doubted her resolve, smiling despite his fear. If she wanted to fight, he'd give her everything. He signaled her to strike. Sharon loses in 10 minutes flat. Gerudo grabs her from behind, but Laurier shouts, "It's not enough." Sharon hits the floor, admitting another loss. Laurier's impressed, telling Haruto that once Sharon masters her magic, he's finished, and that thought actually terrifies him. Lori challenges Gerudo, but he shuts her down. Her hand is still busted, so he's postponing the fight. Lauria panics after Gerudo's sudden goodbye. Lori nails body enhancement, but fails other magic, unable to shake the world's belief that spells need long incantations. Gerudo asks how she transferred magic. He's never seen anything like it. Lauria hesitates. Lauria grins, admitting she's clueless. Gerudo realizes she's a total dead end. He was close to mastering a new spell, but things weren't perfect. Lori questioned their mission, and Sharon was clueless why they were even at the sea. She asks about training, but Rudo smiles. Summer sea training only happens once. Then he unbuttons his shirt. He strips down, shouting that summer by the sea is all about swimming. Sharon freaks out as Lori strips, but Lori's just ready to swim, Sharon admits. She forgot her suit, leaving Lori to sigh. They were supposed to pack their own gear. He told her to see for herself the coast was clear, and they were completely alone. She blushes, blaming Haruto. He just smiles, accepting his fate even if she's right. He asks Lori if she needs a swimsuit, and after a quick thought, she agrees. Bathing is still bathing, Sharon panics, but Laurier insists seeing Haruto is harmless, so Sharon just begs her to cover up. Lauria asks why it matters since Gerudo has breasts too, but a blushing Sharon explains that boys and girls are different. Lauria says stripping is easy, but since Gerudo's already in her underwear, it's meant to be. Sharon nods, steps aside, and starts stripping Haruto watches, completely hooked. She finishes and Gerudo blushes. Sharon covers up, calling him out for staring so intensely. Rudo turns beet red watching his girl, but Lori sneaks up behind him. Smirking, she tells him to stop being selfish and keep his hands off. Sharon grabs Laurier's hand, grinning about having fun. They tease Haruto, joking they're leaving him all alone. Stunned, the boy volunteers to join, but Sharon glares, snapping that he's better off swimming solo. Oriet laughed, telling Sharon to stop saying such cool things. She invites Haruto to join, but seeing her like this is a death sentence. Haruto awkwardly steps forward. They dive in and Lori exposes Gerdo's creepy habit of touching sleeping girls. Sharon's horrified, but Lori recalls faking sleep to catch him. Gerdo turns beet red and begs her to shut up. Exhausted, they left the water and collapsed together. Back in the city, they hit the guild. Peruto opens the door, met instantly by Etna's sweet greeting and smile. She confesses she's waited forever. He smiles but doubts her sincerity, while Sharon watches them with suspicion. Etna smiles, revealing a special mission for Gerudo straight from the capital S guild. Gerudo's disappointed. It's strictly business, not the personal moment he wanted. Edna leads Karuto's group to the guildmaster's office. A gray-haired man named Creasy sits before them, the leader of Torres. Arms crossed, the man admits he's heard the rumors, and they're all good. Ethna just smiles. Sharon nervously introduces herself, while Lori proudly declares she now belongs to Gerudo. Crate smirks at Garado's cute girls, but his expression instantly hardens into an intense stare. He needs answers, recalling the demon fight from the hero. A second visit, he eyes Laurier and asks if she's that same demon. Haruto asks if there's a problem. Clueless, the man swears he wants no trouble. The guildmaster's just satisfying his curiosity. He checks the papers. The capital wants Haruto as a mentor. Haruto's stunned. Who is he training and why? The guildmaster failed the hero, but Haruto just crushed a high-level demon effortlessly. Lauria proudly admitted her hero was a total disappointment. Haruto smacks Lauria's head, warning her to watch her mouth. Offended, she bites her tongue. The guildmaster grins, announcing that the capital's hero, Leon, personally wants Garuto to be his mentor. Sharon calls Haruto incredible, hyped for his new hero teacher gig. Lauria agrees, praising his power and ready for life in the capital. Haruto weighed the offer. He had to see her soon anyway. A hero mentor sounded cool, but he seriously doubted it would work. After slaying Andalusia's demon lord, he became a political pawn. He hated the games, but no one cared what he thought. Political rivals hunted Haruto and tried to kill him, but ultimately exiled him to Earth, and he hated every second of it. He's dodging the law. No longer a hero, he's just a pro hired to mentor the old madman for a massive payday. His eyes sparkle. The capital's castle is packed with maids. Palace staff are the absolute elite. Back as a hero, he rejected the title of lord, but this time, he won't make that mistake again. Seeing his resolve, Sharon begs to join him at the capital, leaving Gerudo stunned and speechless. He smiles, threatening to quit unless Sharon joins him. Confused, she agrees. Lauria insists. Sharon joins them as Rudo's woman. Flustered, Sharon rushes to shut her up. She asks about Lauria's street talk. Lauria apologizes, admitting she's just desperate for tonight. Her first time with Garuto, Sharon is stunned. Garuto snapped. He wasn't quitting his harem dream and saw nothing wrong with it. Blushing, he awkwardly claims Sharon and Lauria as his. Garuto smiles, saying it's only natural she'd want to stay with them, making Sharon turn bright red. Cher's words leave Lauria blushing and speechless. She just nods and shakes her head in silence. Garuto notices Sharon acting weird and asks if she's okay. Startled, she blushes and waves him off, insisting she's fine while Garuto watches her panic and confusion. Sharon spun and bolted, shouting back that she had to get to her room immediately. Lauria looks like a burning troll and asks what's wrong, leaving Rudo completely stunned. Did she stay behind? He wasn't as sure if he should worry. He brushed it off, but that night, a sigh turned into a scream as he gasped for air. Lauria checked the door all clear. Haruto exhaled. Everything went exactly as planned. This isn't combat magic. It's a sound-absorbing spell. Lauria sits as Garuto explains. It silences everything, even voices. Lauria asks why she's needed. Garuto scoffs tonight. They want to survive without her. Lauria's stunned. She claimed he only touched her each night, never going further to stay loyal to Sharon. He stayed quiet, fearing they'd be overheard. Lying together, she asked for his magic's name. She smiles and Garuto feels the romance. Shaken, he leans in for a nervous kiss, expecting nothing but silence. A knock hits the door. Sharon stood frozen, completely lost on her next move. Garuto demands answers. He thinks Sharon's stealing Lauria to keep them apart. Silence, Garuto asks again. She grips his hand and vows to join them. Garuto freezes, stunned and confused by her sudden choice. Lauria spots Sharon awake and invites her to join. Lauria's ready for her first time, but a shy Sharon admits she's also a newbie. Haruto hugged them, questioning if it was all real. Their touch felt amazing. Haruto was in heaven just holding them, pulling Sharon closer by the waist. Stunned, she shuts her eyes and reaches for him. Haruto kisses her and looks at Lauria. Total rookies. It's just a light peck. He kisses Lauria, making her blush. He never gets tired of this. The real excitement starts now as they strip down and their night begins. Morning hits fast. Sunlight floods the room, revealing 3 teens sharing one blanket. Haruto wakes up and scowls. His breath is getting heavy. He snaps his eyes open, sandwiched between 2 girls. He gasps for air, realizing he only woke up because he was literally suffocating. The bed was cramped for 2. Glancing at the girls, he felt awkward and clenched his fists. Sharon and Lauria blush at his gentle touch. Sharon snaps awake, looking exhausted. Garuto checks on her and she rubs her eyes, struggling to focus. Blushing, she turns away and mutters, "She's fine," though she's still sore from last night. Lauria shivers, but Haruto pulls her close. She teases his non-stop energy since last night, and he just grins, claiming he's still got plenty of strength left. Sharon and Lauria spot something and instantly blush. Garuto kisses Sharon, and things get heated. Caught in the moment, he forgets the magical space of silence. YouTube. As they leave, the resident S blushing joke leaves Sharon completely mortified. Final selection. As they leave, everyone scatters, and the tenant's girlfriend approaches him looking annoyed. Edna tearfully smiles goodbye, promising her 3 friends they'll meet again soon, since the capital is right nearby. Her roots wrap Edna's hands as his confident eyes meet hers. He promised they'd meet again, so she doesn't need anyone else. Edna blushes, totally flustered. Sharon glares at Edna while Lauria watches Garuto in confusion. After a tense silence, the guildmaster hands Garuto a scroll for the royal palace. Haruto's ID is confirmed, but the guildmaster writes extra recommendations for a smooth palace entry. Ethna beams, telling him to give it his all in the capital. Sharon waved a sincere thanks. Lauria smiled back, pleased by the gratitude. They hit the road, watching Etna and the guildmaster vanish into the distance. Haruto wonders if he'd have written that letter without the quest, but shrugs it. In the carriage, Gerudo remembers Torres, his first city in this world. Seeing Lauria smile and Sharon watch him, he recalls meeting them both right here. He vowed to return and find more girls to finally complete his dream harem. Sharon shyly speaks up. Haruto sighs, announcing it's time to head for the imperial capital. The boys arrive in Milas, the capital of Militius, for special training with hero Leon blown away by the city's beauty. They can stop hyping up the incredible views. Sharon once found Torres magnificent, but the capital's insane scale and luxury put it to shame. The capital is the kingdom's ancient heart. It dwarfs Torres with endless mansions and the towering royal palace, standing as the oldest and most vital city in the land. This city is the hub for every major guild, including the Church of Harmony, the group that gave the hero his sword. While exploring, Haruto spots a strange building. Realizing it's chilling voices echoed, sending a shiver down his spine. Startled, he looked around and realized the sounds were coming from the church. Dismissing it as his imagination, he gave the girls one rule: he does the talking, and they stay dead silent. Stick to simple, neutral words. They agreed, hearing Haruto loud and clear. At the building entrance, a girl in a wide black dress greets them, saying they've been waiting a long time. The maid smiles and points the way. Gerudo recognizes her instantly, his face lighting up. She gives them some final tips, and after a quick thanks, Gerudo, Lauria, and the doors open to a massive hall where a smiling girl greets Haruto and the Torres adventurers. Flanked by two servants, Rufina Militia Gracia introduces herself as the kingdom's third princess. She grins, confessing she's waited forever for someone like Maji Haruto. He awkwardly greets her back, but hearing she's a princess confirms his suspicions. He couldn't look away from her impressive chest, instantly imagining a wild night with the princess and her maids. For Haruto, this was pure paradise. He relaxed, pondering his dirty dreams, until Leon suddenly entered and greeted the princess. A girl in Knight S armor follows the boy, apologizing for the surprise and introducing herself as Aura Rose. The princess welcomes them, saying she's been waiting. As they sit, Gerudo stays alert, noting her strange name, Aura. Gerudo explains his role as mentor. They have 3 months of training before the operation to slay the demon begins. Rufina's thrilled Haruto arrived in Torres right on time. He smiles back, vowing to give it his all. Meeting for the third time, Leon finally apologizes for overstepping during their first encounter. But Haruto brushes it off, saying it's all good. Suddenly, he catches the princess laughing quietly. He turns to find Lauria passed out at the table. He apologizes instantly, but Rufina just smiles and brushes it off. She asks Haruto to drop the titles. He smiles, requesting the same casual vibe. The princess complies, then asks if she got it right. She smiles, calling him a friend, and asks him to train Leon's squad, even assigning him a personal maid to help him settle in. Haruto stays quiet as the princess summons Mina. A cute girl enters. Rufina notes she's new but highly skilled. Since she's Haruto's age, they'll get along. It's the cat girl from the palace. Mina introduces herself, eager to serve, while Haruto blushes in recognition. He spots her tail. She's beast race. Mina smiles and leads them to their room. This stunning former imperial residence is now a cozy guest house. Nina led him to the bedroom and told him the whole house was his. Ring the bell and she'll appear instantly. Haruto blushes, hyped for tonight, and Sharon turns red, knowing exactly what's on his mind. Sharon assigns rooms, but Laurie doesn't get why, and asks to sleep with Haruto instead. The boys pat Laurie's head, oblivious to his shock. Haruto finds strange doors leading to a long staircase. He heads down, expecting a basement, but hits a locked door at the bottom. He casts search to scan the area, but the sight behind the door nearly made him faint. It started as a torture chamber, but he soon gave it a way cooler name. Haruto laughs, realizing why the door's locked, and backs off. But eyeing Sharon and Laurie, he starts imagining some wild handcuff fun. The thought was tempting, but he slapped himself awake as the girls watched in shock soon night fell. The boys feast at a fancy table while Mina watches with a gentle smile. The guys hit the hot springs to relax, but Haruto freezes when he spots Sharon's neck, staring until he turns bright red. Laurie suddenly hugs him. He asks if she's okay, but she just smiles. She loves sleeping against him so much, she's even doing it in the bathroom. Sharon pulls Gerudo into a sudden hug, catching him completely off guard. He couldn't hold back anymore. Mina bursts in, spots her friends in the bathroom, and rushes over to rub their backs. She spots Haruto and freezes, instantly demanding to know why he's there. Stammering for an excuse, she blushed and bolted while shouting apologies. Haruto thought she sounded like a cat, but Lauria just found her incredibly noisy. Haruto exits the bathroom to a bowing Mira. He explains his link to the girls, and she admits she knew about his power and should have seen this coming. Haruto wondered if she'd accept a harem, which suited him perfectly. They sealed their pact that night, but he wanted one more round before sleep. After 2 days traveling from Taurus to the capital, they're interrupted in the bathroom right as things get interesting. Haruto found the palace bed pure luxury, creaky but springy and soft. Morning arrives. The boys wake at sunrise and step out to find the area packed with night fences. They apologized, admitting they'd heard of Haruto's legendary skills, but hearing isn't seeing. They stepped up, demanding a live demonstration of his power. She snaps, shouting that Amaji personally invited the hero and their insults are an outrage, but Haruto just waves it off with a smile. He challenges them to a duel, and the crowd draws their steel. Garuto readies his blade, set to clash with the knights. The men laughed and charged, but seconds later, they were all face down at his feet. Orotoside knew they were weak. Behind him, the girl watched in shock. Soldiers here charge like mindless drones, so he tests their true power with the dual wooden swords only and zero lethal magic. Haruto and Leon's duel begins. All eyes are on them as blades clash. Haruto lunges, but the boy repels him. Instantly, the boy drops low and launches a surprise counterattack, catching Leon completely off guard. Leon's sword flies away, leaving him defenseless. The crowd freezes in shock. Haruto asks why he's giving up. The man admits he's magicless and unarmed, totally defenseless. Sighing, the boy tosses him a sword to change his mind. Watch every move. Haruto catches the boy off guard with a brutal gut kick. The boy doubles over, swearing, leaving the girls stunned by Haruto's ruthless move. He reminds Leon he fought barehanded even without a weapon. He can still distract the enemy. He gripped the buried sword and yanked it free, declaring there's always a chance to take up arms. While Leona gets fixed up, Haruto knows this harsh lesson is exactly what the hero needs. He warns the girls their tactics are too predictable, telling them to ditch the routine and find creative ways to win. The girls agreed, and he finally felt like a real teacher. The boy snaps out of it as the priest summons him, warning him not to cross Leon. Haruto made Leon repeat himself as the crew slowly agreed. Realizing his team always had it rough, he walked off, noting Amaja's lack of church intel this month. Hiding nearby, Haruto eyes the Church of Harmony's capital HQ, a massive powerhouse ruling the nation. He trusts their message of racial equality, especially since they were the ones who first declared Leon a hero. Voices echoed through the church. Someone was magically eavesdropping. He spots workers on every floor, but his eyes are locked on the 3 basement levels. He has to know what's hidden down there. Garuto's mind is a wreck, but he'll sort it out later. Little does he know, a spy is lurking in the shadows, hearing everything. He follows the maid down the hall. Princess Rafina has summoned him. Alone at last, the princess tells the boy she has a secret meant for his ears only. He blushed internally, knowing his heart couldn't handle this. They just sat face to face. Looking away, the princess brings up Leon, and the boy is clearly not happy. After a month together, Rafina wondered if he'd actually improved. Annoyed by Rafina's topic, the boy still defends Leon, insisting his hard work and focus will make him strong soon. The princess reveals she knows Garuto's been watching the church for a month. The boy freezes, thinking she's just joking. She knew it was rude, but she still dug into his past. Checking Haruto's guild papers, the princess confronts him. He claimed to be from Mild Village, but no one matching his description has ever lived there. Exposed, he panics, scrambling for an excuse. What's his next move? He needed to bolt, but Rafina swore to keep his secret, then dropped a personal request. She stares Haruto down, demanding the truth about Leon and the church. Haruto's stunned. He asks if the church only recognizes Leon as the Sacred Sword hero, and Rafina confirms it's the undeniable truth. She shares her worries. Like Haruto, she doubted Leon before the church declared him a hero. A total unknown, Haruto's stunned Leon definitely wasn't summoned from another world. Haruto and Leon talked all month, but Leon wasn't summoned from Earth, and the princess says his sacred sword is a total mystery. The girl's family ruled Milis for generations, but they never heard of the sacred sword until Leon arrived. Rafina checked the chronicles. Nothing. Sacred sword or not, she didn't get why they just handed Leon over to the royals. He asks if royal custody of the hero ruins church relations, but she shuts it down impossible. Church and state were allies, but Rafina couldn't grasp why they'd abandoned the Holy Sword hero. She approaches Haruto. He gets her, but can grasp why she chose him. He was just an ordinary adventurer with a hidden past. She eyed him with suspicion, knowing she couldn't trust him. She agrees she doesn't trust him yet, but looking away, she decides to give him a chance and believe. She revealed she's been faintly reading minds since birth. Pointing to her eyes, she reveals a weak curse blocks her from reading Haruto's mind. She's barely holding focus, pushed to her absolute limit. He watches her suspiciously, doubting her story because of her strange, haunting gaze. She spilled everything to win their trust. Now it's Garuto's turn to expose the church. He didn't trust her anymore, but the info wasn't a major secret, so he spilled it. Let's try one more for maximum YouTube. The girl weighed his story about the 3 underground floors. She tasks Haruto with scouting the floors. He weighs his options, treating it as a side quest to her main request. The princess finally mentions the reward and the boy's all ears. A royal request means a massive payout. She interrupts his thoughts, offering herself as the reward. The princess's words caught Garuto completely off guard. The princess offers herself as the reward. But Garuto's shock turns to doubt. He no longer trusts her. She's out. After a month of spying, she's seen Gardo turn Leon into a total powerhouse. The guy isn't with the church, so she wants Haruto as an ally. It's a convincing pitch. He got the gist, but why offer herself? Cash would have been plenty. She smiles at his words and saves the reward talk for later. Rafina touches the boy's head, promising a gift to boost his spirits. She leans in close. Haruto expects a kiss, loses his cool, and reaches out first. Suddenly, the princess kisses his forehead. Stunned, he touches his brow, completely clueless. Garuto headed home smiling, thinking Rafina was a great girl. The second he stepped inside, an angry Sharon confronted him, demanding to know where he'd been. School's starting. But he is missing. He apologizes to Sharon, claiming an emergency. She thinks he's dating a hottie, and when he doesn't deny it, Sharon starts hurling insults. He soaked in the heat, relaxing as the day's exhaustion finally hit. Dipping into the water, he wonders why Sharon and Lauria are ghosting him. Was he just too clingy? 2 girls crash at Ari's, leaving Haruto wondering when they got so close. He smiles, realizing solo baths aren't so bad after all. A week later, Rafina's a regular at Leon's training. It looks harmless, but Giroto's sensing trouble. Is she helping or spying? The doubt is pushing him to the brink. He grabs his head, sighs, and switches his focus to Leon. He had 0 memories until he became a hero. Garub figured the summoning caused amnesia, and he could tell the guy wasn't lying. The boy asked to touch Leon's sacred sword, hooked by the blade and the insane magic inside. Materials are everything. Rarer gear means stronger magic, and Haruto knew this blade answered to him alone. Leon's basic magic swordsmanship can't pierce Laurietta's air shield. He eyed the sword, suspecting Haruto didn't meet its special requirements. He tried channeling magic, but the blade stayed dead. Haruto realized only Leon could unlock the sword. As true power, he remembered Leon claiming the blade at the church and meeting the royals. Thinking he's helping the church, a girl sneaks up and calls his name. She sat beside him, smiling, and offered a back massage. He asks why she's avoiding him, but she's found out the truth, leaving him completely alone. She's here for her duties, but he's baffled. What duties is Mina Duty even talking about? He's completely out of the loop. Mina must satisfy the guests however and whenever the host demands. Was this normal? He was alone now, but he never asked for any of this. Hero 2 was losing his mind, but then it clicked. This was Princess Rufina's honey trap. Mina confessed it was her first time and apologized for everything. O2 froze, seeing her tremble, then pulled her into a hug. She smiled, and he couldn't hold back his feelings anymore. As Mina sleeps, he sits on the bed and sighs. He smiles, remembering his hero days, now trading his sword for a mentor's wisdom. He clutched his head and screamed inside, doubting his choice to ignore Rafina. Mina looked stunning. She was too seductive, and now he had to take responsibility. Yesterday's memories still made his heart race, realizing he wasn't a sage material yet. He sat back down by the girl and stopped overthinking. She wakes and calls him. He strokes her ear, asking if she's uncomfortable. She interlocks their fingers, reassures him, and points to her lips. He leans down and kisses her. Morning hits and Sharon's scream wakes a groggy Haruto as she shouts, "Haruto slept with Mina." Sharon checks on the huddled Mina, asking if she's okay and calling that guy a total scoundrel. She asked if Haruto forced her and if she was safe. The guy rubbed his neck, realizing he'd pushed himself too hard last time. Mortified, Mina stammers, Haruto knows she's new to this, so he drops the servant act and treats her like a perfect gentleman. Laurie teases Haruto for adding Mina to his flower collection alongside Sharon, but Sharon snaps, telling her to shut up. Mina isn't some prize. Lauria approaches Haruto. He just smiles as she tells Sharon the boy knows exactly what he's doing. She warns him. Sharon's jealous Haruto prefers him. Hiding a pack under the blanket, she demands he prove his manhood, while Sharon tells her friend to wait. Mina steps up to help. Laurie notes the day is young. They've got plenty of time. He smirked, once a hero, now just an ordinary man. They toss him on the bed, and he instantly wonders if it's too late to run. Haruto's proving his endurance is limitless. He's going all out to show the girls what he's made of. Wait, he decided that. Gerudo stands before the princess, awkwardly admitting he's still undecided about joining the Demon Fortress raid. Rafina smirked. This attack was the perfect chance to host the award ceremony right inside the church. She says they're lucky to score this in a month. He looks for a shortcut, but realizes he'll just have to grind. The hero's ceremony is at the church, his only official way in. He didn't want to storm the fortress. Reading his mind, the princess names Leon their ace. Now, they must breach the fortress and slay the demon lord. The princess saw Haruto as a distraction, but he had one problem: he never even agreed to join. The princess grabs his hand and locks eyes, pleading for him to agree. Haruto ignores her desperate plea, stunned by how easily Rufina manipulates him. He bets Mina's behind this. He still couldn't refuse. Hearing the boy's answer, he agreed, and the girl was thrilled. She hugged him tight with a joyful thanks. But he felt awkward as she pressed too close. She's bigger than he expected. It's clearly a trap, but he's not even trying to resist. He pulls her close, hands on her waist, making her gasp as he savors the moment. Blushing, she pauses awkwardly and asks Haruto what reward he's chosen. He knew his reward and demanded Mina, leaving the princess stunned. 4 years ago, Mina's parents died, and she was sold to the palace. Her mother's old connections as a maid saved her from being auctioned off to a far worse fate. The girl happily joins the castle boy when he asks. Treating her like property felt dead wrong. He watched the sad princess, stunned when she suddenly smiled and disagreed. He's stunned as Rafina drops the catch Mina only joins if the princess tags along. She pauses, then whispers she's getting married soon. He's blindsided by the twist, but suddenly everything clicks. Turning 16, the king's third daughter is being married off to a noble's son. She assumed she'd always be a princess, throne or not. She later learns her noble hero groom looks like an ugly frog. He gasped. The princess just swore for the first time. She screamed her lungs out, refusing to accept any of it. The hero gets her plight, but he can take on an entire nation. She nodded, understanding every word. She smirks, ready to spill everything she's learned about Leon and the church to her father. He listens nervously as she reveals her dad put her on the case, promising any reward she wants for success. He thinks the marriage is pointless if the princess can just cancel it, but Rafina explains the nobility would never allow it. She approached Haruto, certain her father would grant her hand to a man stronger than the hero himself. Haruto wondered when the king's support and the princess's heart. Sounds like a plan. She adds she'd only suggest this to someone she actually likes. She'd say yes to Haruto in a heartbeat, leaving him in total shock. He understands her, smiling. He takes Nina and Rafina as a reward. Now he has to own that choice. She joyfully hugs him, but Gerudo doubts the princess's sincerity. He knows the boy might regret this later. No turning back now. He kisses her, taking more than he's earned. Time to strategize. A demon just emerged from the southern forest to strike the fort. Why target a massive trade stronghold? It's a total mystery. The speaker reveals the fort sits right outside the capital, serving as the vital hub for the southern lands. Leon reveals a demon led the fortress raid. While the hero mourns the army's defeat, Lauria snores away, prompting Gerudo to ask if she knows the beast. She yawned right at him. Laurie. A asked what was up, and the boy was ticked off. Gerudo asks again about the demon from her forest that seized the southern fortress, but she still insists she knows nothing. The boy sighed. As always, asking Laurie was a waste of time. Leon turns to the pensive Haruto, telling him there's nothing to worry about. Here too knew they'd crush the demon. That's just how heroes roll. Leon's confident, but Gerudo knows his duty is to train the hero. He cuts Leon off, revealing his plan to solo the main gates and bait the demon squad. Haruto's shocked they're attacking alone, but the warrior's nod confirms it. This is the way. He adds the princess ordered it, after Gerudo's pitch. Defeated, the guy slumps on the table, wondering what she's plotting. Days later, Haruto and Sharon hit the market and park on their date. Haruto's a total gentleman, shocked he has zero lewd thoughts. Turns out his nights are already wild enough. Sitting by the river, he grips Sharon's hand, his only desire to never let go. Haruto remembered Sharon was always a firecracker. Since childhood, she'd scrap with neighboring village thugs without hesitation. Before they met, she was pure fire. Sharon grew up on her grandma's code: stay honest and never give up. Earlier this year, her grandmother passed away. After her grandma's funeral, Sharon finally sets out to see the world as an adventurer. She confesses she'd still be a low-level Torres adventurer without him. Sharon's charming smile warns the boy to keep his distance. Ever the patient gentleman, he listens as she grills him about his home, his power, and his family. Asked about his parents, the boy says he's an orphan with zero clue who they were. She apologizes for overstepping, but Gerardo brushes it off. He reveals he grew up in an orphanage, with a kind teacher and great friends. He grabs her hand again, telling her not to worry. She just smiles back. Haruto shares his trek to Andalusia but hides the truth. He's a summoned hero from another world. He spun a tale of a world journey, and Sharon hung on every word, never missing a beat. He'd never shared this much about his past. Suddenly he remembers a forgotten gift and opens a box to reveal a pendant. He fastens the jewelry around her neck, and she smiles her thanks. Sharon smiled, genuinely happy, but then it hit her. She forgot Karuto's return gift. Hearing that, the boy already had a genius plan for his return gift. He leans down and kisses her gently. He steps back, calling it the exact gift he's always wanted from a girl. He leads a confused Sharon into the bushes, while Karuto wonders if gentlemen stay polite after sunset. A week after leaving the capital, Garatone's crew stakes out the fortress, now crawling with monsters. Lauria lives nearby but never visits the fort. He figures she just forgot with her. Anything's possible. He glances aside. Haruto was right. A hidden passage. All eyes watch as a soldier clears the path. Leon leads them through the secret passage, telling Gerudo to stay safe as the boy shakes with hype for the adventure. They charge the main road to bait the demon army out, while Leon's squad sneaks through a secret passage to strike the demon leader. Gerudo warns Leon their enemy is a demon, but they've got this. It's time to unleash 3 months of training. They fist bump, finally understanding each other. The party hits the secret passage. Gerudo grins, admiring their epic fist pump. Gerudo sent the old man to fight while mocking the kid. He used to feel like a friend, but now he just feels like a boss. He briefs Sharon and Laurie on the plan blast the fort with magic to lure the monsters out. Laurie stays back to shield the group with magic, while Sharon kills any demons that slip past Haruto. Haruto tells the wounded to see Dwace, the royal mage, for healing. The boy signals the move, and the girls happily follow. They bolted straight for the fort. Approaching the fortress, Chiruto stops. This is the perfect refuge. Haruto focuses erupting flames and explosions from his palms, shaping the blast himself. He blasts a massive fireball straight at the fort. The shell detonates over the fortress. The hero just smirks. The explosion booms and monsters instantly swarm. He charges, knocking goblin weapons aside and instantly putting down a lunging wolf. A massive beast strikes from behind, but Gerudo dodges and disarms it instantly. Goblins swarm the boy, ready to strike. Haruto uses earth magic to shackle and disarm the monsters. A goblin breaks loose, but Gerudo instantly decapitates him. The girls also battled the monsters. Haruto wipes his chin, instantly hit by the sharp stench of blood. The monsters keep coming, hadn't he? Already wiped out a third of them. A shadow looms over him as a massive figure towers over the fort. Gerudo yells to Lauria as the demon closes in and unleashes its magic. Laurier steps up to Gerudo and Sharon, telling them to leave everything to her. She smiles, promising safety, then blocks the demon arrows with an air barrier. Gerudo praises Laurie and sends Sharon back into the fray. Leon's almost at the fort to crush the demon. His roar pierced through everyone nearby. The demon leaps from the fort, lands before the adventurers, and roars furiously. Haruto hears a familiar name and looks to Laurie Steinhardt. She nods. It's her. The demon screams her name again, shattering the silence with a chilling echo. Laurie eyed the monster, asking who he was. Enraged, she forgot him. The demon starts calling her weird names. Laurier stopped, drawing a total blank on those golden pants. The monster roared, declaring he'd been hunting her down for revenge. He remembers LRI visiting a year ago. Back then, he was just chilling in the castle, sipping tea and soaking in the vibes. She leveled his property, leaving nothing but ruins. The demon asks, does she really not remember her rampage? Laurie was clueless. Haruto nervously remembered the briefing where she had no idea what the fort even was. The demon cursed at Laurie, snapping that he didn't care if she remembered. He points at her, claiming victory, then vows to torture her to death. Laurie laughed off the demon's threat. She's been Gerudo's for years. To reach Laurie, the demon must crush her master first. Hearing her, he wondered what was Laurie up to. He eyes the villain wasn't he this demon in Leon's old squad. Facing the monster, he couldn't believe it all came to this. The demon challenges Haruto to a duel, but first, he follows the rules and introduces himself. The demon Golban steps up Coop. He stakes Laurie as the prize and challenges Gerudo to a duel. Should he follow suit? It was a mess, but he had no choice. He raises his sword, shouts his name, and accepts the challenge. The demon lunges, but the boy stands firm and strikes back. A sudden glint at his feet caught the boy off guard. He stumbled as the fire devoured everything in its path, burning it all to the ground. The demon strikes, but Haruto dodges every blow and leaps aside. The demon missed, but the fire still scorched Halband. Impressed, the monster realized the kid was incredibly agile. He couldn't run forever. He channeled earth magic and slammed up a defensive wall. Haruko knows earth magic is useless here. He can kill the demon in one shot, but he'll definitely sever its arm. The demon exits the dungeon and Haruto charges, swinging for its arm with everything he's got. But his strike does nothing as the beast just collapses. Dodging strikes, he realizes he needs magic. He imbues his blade, evades the demoness lunge, and counters instantly. Haruto strikes with everything, but barely leaves a scratch on the demon. Halbend ignites his hand, declaring Haruto caught. Haruto's sword bursts into flames, forcing him to drop it. The demon laughs, asking what happened. The boy's disarmed, and now it's time to strike. Haruto's hand shook. He drained his mana, but the sword was just basic iron. Galband offered a final mercy surrender now, and live without the pain. If Haruto resists, the demon snaps his limbs, tortures Lauria in front of him, and rips his head off. Fed up with the annoying demon, he scowls and plots his next move. Haruto lacked magic. Fighting Fire Fists unarmed was suicide, so when the demon asked if he'd keep resisting, Haruto went silent, fists clenched, no choice left time for his trump card. Panicking, he grabs his head. He can't believe it. As time, he turns to his team, their eyes locked on him. He smiles and sighs, realizing he's worried the girls. Arms wide, he offers a silent apology and starts the chant. His soul as hidden power was meant to ignite into a sword and banish the demon. Hailed as Andalusia's hero, his magic awakened, letting him forge his ultimate weapon. A flash blinds the girls. He knows this magic is brutal to tame, even Garudo needs a long spell. He felt like a total joke and hated using this magic, while the demon just watched with a cryptic grin. Ashamed of this magic, Haruto saved it for emergencies. Flashing back to when he invented it at age 12, fist clenched, he shouts, the heaven-cleaving, earth-splitting sword of total destruction is finally here. He thrusts his hands out, unleashing the divine power of destruction, Ragnarok. The girls watch in awe as Garuto glares at the demon, declaring it forced the boy's hand, and now it's time to pay. Galbin lunges in a rage, demanding answers, but Haruto grips his blade and smashes the enemy's flaming hand. The demon loses a limb and reels in total shock. Haruto doesn't hesitate, attacking the demon again. The demon falls, its essence scattering to the wind. The girls call out, and Lauria lunges into his arms. He warns her it's dangerous, but she ignores him, and they both crash down. Lauria asks if he's okay, but he just gives a weird grin like he overused his magic. With a girl at stake, he had to overdo it. Laurie blushes, looks at the guy, and hides her face. Sharon eyes the boy's stunning blade, but he reveals it's his secret emergency weapon. She stares in awe while he blushes, eyes her yucca, and sighs as he sits beside her. He sends Sharon to tell the forest soldiers the demon is dead. She bolts, and he turns to Laurie, who's still clinging tight. She thanked Haruto, who blushed and vowed he'd never hand Lauria over to that demon. He told her it's safe to help Leon. Clenching her fists, she demanded to do it herself. Before leaving, she leans down for one last kiss. She tells Haruto she's off to help others, leaving him blushing as she walks away. Laureate and Leon's squad liberate the fort. Haruto orders his men to wipe out the stragglers. Resting in the village, he realized the move from Earth barely drained his energy. Oriette enters with tea, surprising Haruto. He thought she was with Sharon, but she insists on nursing him since he got hurt protecting her. She asks to help, then smiles and offers him a lap pillow. The boy sighs, too exhausted to move, and asks Lauria to take care of him. She smirked, even exhausted. He still wanted her. Bolting the door, Laurie sighed and dropped her shorts. She slides under the covers, smiles, and admits she always relies on him. Now he's earned his reward. He sighed in relief. His hard work finally paid off. Meanwhile, in Militius, the Church of Harmony's third basement level is seeing some action. The sphere glows and a shocked voice asks why Garuto is there. Laura wakes up and stretches, but panics when she finds a chained collar around her neck and demands answers. Garuto looms over her, glad she's awake just to call this her punishment, but she has no idea why. He blames her for the demon fight, but she begs him to stop, claiming her apology already settled the debt. He begins the punishment, forcing her to call him master. She screams in total confusion, unable to understand why any of this is happening. He hits her again, and she calls him sir. Haruto blushes, clutching his chest in awe. He catches the girl off guard, asking her to call him Anichan. Back in the capital, he's got a month of total freedom before the church award ceremony. Haruto invites Sharon out and buys gifts for every girl except Mina. He enters as Mina cleans and calls her name, but she's too focused to notice. The boy stood in awe of the masterpiece she unveiled. After nightfall, he sneaks past the sleeping girls and heads to Mina's room. He knocks, and she opens the door, stunned to see him. She asks for the scoop. He pauses, confused. Mina caught Haruto staring at that girl all day, and he's shocked she noticed. She thought she'd messed up, but he shut that down instantly. He pulls out a small box and hands it over. She stares at the gift, eyes wide with excitement. Blushing, she thanks him, overjoyed. Suddenly, he pulls her into a tight hug, catching her off guard before she runs to call him. Next day, with the new year just a week away, he asks Mina to stay by his side. Rudo hugged her legs, relieved she understood, but she immediately asked about his weird clothes. New Year hits and a girl asks about the outfits. The boy hypes them for romance, but while Lauria calls them useless, he thinks they're amazing. They step inside. Sharon loves the fresh air. Mina's hyped by the sun, and Lauria wonders why they traveled so far. He's already dreaming of getting back to the room to make up for last night. Inside, Rufino's waiting, smiling at their interesting outfits. The boy's stunned by the princess's arrival, who admits she tracked Mina to uncover Gerudo's latest scheme. She hugs him, whispering her father approved his reward. Undressing with a smile, she tells him he can claim it right now. Niren's confused by the crowd, but Rufino's already cleared it with his friends. All eyes turn to the three girls standing silently nearby. Mina offers the princess full support for her first time. Lauria notes the sun's up, no point sleeping now. Gerudo laughs, getting major Rufino vibes. Facing the girls, he's too weak to resist. He eyed the four girls on the bed. Now they'd feel the full force of Irafina's trap. Hovering over the princess, he realized his mistake. A little skin was fine, but he shouldn't have stripped her bare. The boy gently kisses the princess. Surrounded by four girls, it's a total nightmare, but he refuses to lose. Only his past experience keeps him in the fight. Staring out the window, he realized 3 years of brutal hero combat were finally paying off. Distracted, the girls sneak up and pounce the same ones who'd already drained every bit of his strength. Rufina started shy, but she suddenly flipped the script. Her wild energy left Haruto dazed and blind to the world. He once drowned in those curls, but lying beside her now, he's finally conquered them. Haruto gasped for air as Rufina smirks, telling him things went even better than she imagined. She asks him to handle Mina with her father, already set to meet the king. He sleepily agrees, glad the new year wasn't a waste. A week later, Harmony Church celebrates the fort's capture. Reunited with Rufina, they hit the iron gates. She notes the church's security is wide open. Gerudo and the princess head underground. He's been waiting for this, but his nerves show. Sensing his anxiety, the princess asks if he knows what's waiting below. He stares at the orb, admitting he's clueless. He's totally hooked, but he can't explain why. She reveals this room was for hearing divine oracles, and he demands the details. Princess points to the glowing ball. Caretto looks, but nothing happens. He says it's time to move. The princess suggests a detour, and the boy agrees. Rufenus's weak voice reminds him he'll meet her father, and the sphere flares back to life. He warns her it won't be easy, and she finally sees it. He's the hero. Audience day arrives. The boy kneels and begs forgiveness, but the king welcomes him warmly. He told him to relax. He obeyed, but his gut twisted in pain. The man brings up the fort reward and the church investigation. The boy nervously confirms. The boy demands his reward. He's taking Mina and Princess Rufina with him. He grins as the stunned crowd stares at Mina, who just smiles back shyly. Recalling his daughter's past wishes, the king notices her trust in the boy and welcomes an alliance with the powerful Haruto. The king's down, but Marquis Cordato's honor is at stake. The boy has no clue who that is. Rufina snaps back, reminding her father the Marquis never even gave his word. He's shocked she's protecting the Marquis's honor, but the king insists he already told him everything. She grabs the boy's arm and drops a bombshell. It's too late. She's already given herself to Haruto for his first time. Haruto's terrified of her dad's reaction, certain he's about to be punished. He panics, but she just smiles. She's telling the truth. The king sighed. His daughter finally crossed the line. He sighed and gave his consent. The girl beamed at her dad, whispering they'd won. The king rises, withholding official consent until the Marquis is handled, but unofficially, he's all in. Her father points at Haruto, declaring his fate. The boy's heading to the Marquis's estate to settle the score. The boy heads home with the princess following, realizing her traditional father just showed some rare flexibility. He grabs her cheeks, snapping, that's not what he asked, while she tells him to quit pulling. Released, the princess warns her father will end this story, then sadly shuts her eyes. Gerudo stepped up, accepting the inevitable. He grabbed her, certain Rufina deserved her punishment. She's blushing, expecting a night in bed, but he knows she's too naive to realize what's actually waiting for her inside. Mina was already waiting at the house. She offered to help, Gerudo admitted. He needed her, and the maid instantly understood. Haruto leads the princess into a strange room, and she curiously scans every detail. Mina smirks, snatching the collar and snapping it onto Rufina's neck. The princess screams in fury, reminding everyone of her royal status. Mina strips the princess, whose mortified Gerudo watches, thinking she is way too caught up in the moment. Smirking, he claims her as his own. Rufina better serve him well. Arms crossed, she snaps he can take her body, but he'll never have her heart. Mina's partner smirks, realizing the princess is playing along as the maid hands him some rope. He tied her up to teach her a lesson, certain she'd already broken. Sharon and Lauria close in, but Rufina screams she's a princess and won't lose. Lauria asks Mina what Haruto and the princess are up to. The girls join the game, wrapping up another great day. The boy stared in awe as Kirito threw his arms wide, clearly impressed by the sight. The boys hyped as Rafina reveals their magic carriage came straight from the royal palace. Sharon knew the crew was elite, but Haruto's hype made no sense. Lauria called it a basic travel box, so why was he so pumped? Haruto smirked. Women and kids just didn't get the machine. Sis charm. Mina then confirmed the supplies were loaded. Haruto stroked her hair and thanked her. She purred and wagged her tail, looking adorable. Lion calls mid-cuddle, claiming it's a routine territory check, but warning him to stay safe. Gerudo knows it's just a cover for his real mission. Hiding his true goal, he thanked the hero and promised to be careful, certain the road ahead was safe. The fairy flies up, whispering for him to protect Kleido. The boy is stunned. Everyone boards as the soldiers wave. Haruto locks in and signals the start, dubbing their carriage a meteor, a true shooting star. Sharon and Lori hate the long name, but Rafina loves it. Mina accepts the leader's choice, while Gerudo just wants the bickering to end. A voice apologizes for the late intro. It's Kleido, the magic stone spirit powering the carriage. He realized who the ferrymen meant. Rafina and Mina likely already knew. Glancing at the soldiers, he ordered Kleido to move the cart. With a week-long journey to the marquee, they train 3 hours daily as Sharon drills Rafina on combat and body enhancement magic. Lori's sparring was a total deathmatch. Surviving her convinced Haruto his next harem girl must be a healer. Training ends and Mina calls for lunch. He failed at the estate, but now she's finally at the table. Food tastes better shared. Surrounded by his friends, his heart is full. Night falls and they're back on the road. Rafina and Sharon sleep with the boy while Mina drives and Lori dozes at the wheel. Arriving in Iris, Rufina points out an elite academy. She didn't attend, though as royalty, she was privately tutored. Haruto's busy picturing the princess in school gear until Rafina snaps him back to reality, forcing him to look away. Where are these two? The boy asks if the cloak is a uniform, and the princess confirms it's worn over their regular clothes. They reach the marquis's estate, and the butler ushers them into the living room to wait. Sipping tea, he realized she was pure elegance, a true princess through and through. Vikov enters the noisy room and addresses Princess Rafina, nearly making Gerudo choke. He's thrilled but awkward. She came all this way for him. The boy spots the man entering and instantly recognizes the pig herder frog. Rafina notes it's been a while, but the Viscount insists she call him Dial, making Haruto realize this guy is way too cocky. Haruto realized Dial already saw him as a husband, and the hero hated it. Baffled, the man wonders where the marquis is if this guy's just a Viscount. Haruto speaks up. But the annoyed Viscount snaps, telling the guard. Gardo demands an audience, announcing the princess is here to see the marquis in person. The priest pauses, then says his father isn't here. He realized the marquis was the Viscount's father. But the Marchioness was missing, and he had no clue why. Haruto intercepts the monsters mid-lunge, his blade instantly turning them into dissolving flames. The man tells the boy dungeon monsters never die. Gerudo says they turn into essence to be reborn. He hits the wall, realizing he needs more mana to find anything. The map shows the marquis is deeper than expected, and he can believe Rafina talked him into this so easily. Beneath the school lies a bottomless labyrinth, and rumors say the bravest have reached level 50. Final exams are here. Survive the labyrinth for a month. But this year, one student stands out from the rest. A commoner genius. The marquis joined the exam board just to see him only 2 weeks after he entered the dungeon. He couldn't stand waiting 2 weeks to ask the marquis for Rafina's hand, but he eventually realized he had to suck it up. Rafina sees an opportunity, but he's completely clueless. The princess orders the boy to contact the marquis. She sizes him up first to make convincing him easier. She hugged him tight, swearing Gerudo would catch the graduates and prove his skill. Gerudo needed to catch up fast. He hugged the girl tight and charged ahead at full power. He brushed it off, deciding to wait for the marquis, and shoved the girls onto the bed. He knew she thought hugging him would get her way, but she was being way too obvious. He backs away and she snaps, calling him a bad guy. The girls watch as he slaps Rafina, telling her not to take the rejection personally. Dead of night. Haruto jolts awake to a strange sensation he can explain. That church sphere energy is back, but now it's surging from underground. A strange premonition sends Haruto into the underground labyrinth, and Rafina is thrilled. 12 hours deep and he's crushing it. Checking his phone, he gauges the final push to floor 20. Gerudo crashed, vowing to catch the group by morning. He was out instantly. Next morning, he dives deeper and finds a shocker, 2 monsters brawling. They should be allies, but one's a machine, making the fight even more brutal. Haruto one-shots the slug, but a mechanical villain suddenly lunges. He strikes back on pure instinct, barely processing the chaos. He looks back, shocked the robot didn't vanish after its defeat. No time to think, he pushes forward, eyes scanning the walls. On floor 17, a voice suddenly orders everyone back to the surface. Haruto finds students debating whether to stay or rescue those below. He sneaks up with a polite greeting, sending them into a screaming panic. They stared at Haruto, shocked by his arrival and his motives. His uniform kept him safe and the room quiet. Haruto used his lie to start digging for answers. Breezing through floor 20, the students are finally cut loose to hunt for secret doors and loot. They crack the door to find a massive robot. Once they confirmed the iron giant was harmless, they called the students over. Adults look away, the student screams a warning, and the robot raises its fist to strike. A massive golem ambushes them instantly. Teachers and an ace student bait the beast while the others flee. The map vanished with the golem distraction, leaving the students lost. A girl mentions a backup plan in the tent, but Cardo simply hands them his own map. He dives down to help, ordering the students to take the map and escape. They trade looks of pure joy. Haruto descended. Even with max power magic search, his range was limited, but he sensed survivors were still alive. Hitting floor 20, he finds a teacher battling a golem while his friends lie beaten and unconscious. He's struggling against the monster when a sudden shout warns him to watch out. His wife shouts a warning as Haruto lunges, severing the golem's arm with one clean strike. The man strangely collapses as the boy pierces the monster's skull. Gerudo rushes to help, but the man says he's fine. Spotting the uniform, the man asks if Gerudo is a student. The boy tries to explain he's not a student, but the man cuts him off. Convinced he's just a servant sent by Princess Rafina. Silent, the boy refused to be her servant. He eyed the unconscious teachers and remembered the genius student was still close. The man snaps Gerudo out of his thoughts, revealing he is Marquis de Randall's, Lord of Cordado. Nurin's stunned that gorilla-looking giant is actually Tood's dad. He realized the Marquis and his son were total opposites, but then he spotted it. They had the exact same nose. Haruto bandages the Marquis and introduces himself, revealing Haruto is actually his surname. The boy clarifies he's tied up, not bandaged, and confirms his name. The Marquis apologizes for the mistake, but cuts the talk short. The student is lagging, and he must stay if she says. The boy agrees with the man and asks his former sovereign for a map. After a brief pause, the king says he has one. The boy magically pops a water bottle. The Marquis freezes, realizing he's facing a master who casts spells without a single word. The Marquis smiles, praising the princess's talented guest. The boy blushes, realizing he's already won the man over. Saving that info for later, he heads out to rescue the student and warns the Marquis to be careful surfacing. The man insisted the kid had done enough, he'd handle the rest. Gasping for air, the exhausted student keeps running. The golem's massive fist smashes the ground, but he leaps back as stone shatters everywhere. Hiding behind a column, the student tries to bolt, but exhaustion hits and he collapses. The monster is about to strike, but Haruto finds them just in time. The kid's gasping for air, he swings again, seeing the boy hit his absolute limit under the tent. He launches a hot air balloon, slamming it into the monster's raised fist. Haruto doesn't hesitate, slamming his spell into the golem as the student watches. Stunned by the magic surge, the monster collapses as Haruto rushes to check the student. Ripping off his hood, the student gasps that he finally escaped. Haruto spots his sharp elven ears and strikingly beautiful face. He pats her head, praising her patience, but the student blushes and reveals he's actually a boy, leaving Haruto frozen in embarrassment. Haruto apologizes for the mistake, explaining the boy was so cute he mistook him for a girl. Boku blushes and turns away, claiming looks are deceiving, while Gerudo finds his strange reaction totally bizarre. He calms the boy, telling him to trust his savior, he'll kill the monster. The kid just needs to rest. Could he take down the monster solo? He froze, spinning toward the top student. He stood stunned. He'd finally heard the words he'd been waiting for. Haruto blamed his dark thoughts for the disaster. Staring at the survivor, he realized his mistake. He never should have stepped onto this deadly path. While he stalls with dark thoughts, the golem rises and stalks the boy. Seeing an iron arm reach for Haruto, the student screams a warning. The boy dodges the monster's skumas grab and instantly chops off its arm. He grinned at his success as his student watched in awe. Haruto eyed his silver blade, seeing it as the foundation for every treasure he owned. He lunges at the golem again, certain his magic will shred that iron barrier. Golem crashes down, limbs severed, magic was useless, but the boy steps up to finish the beast alone. He looks ordinary, but he's the legendary hero who ended the war by decapitating the demon lord. Suddenly, a deafening blast rings out, forcing Haruto and the student to shield their ears. Steam hissed from the golem's cracks as the boy stared in awe. Golem explodes, slamming harder to the ground as he shields himself from the shockwave. He stared as the giant nearby blew up, baffled by its sudden self-destruction. Smoke floods the room. Haruto chokes and curses, spotting the student out cold on the floor, face twisted in pain. Hero drops beside the student, seeing the critical wound, and tears through his bag for bandages. Caruthel rips the boy's clothes to reach the wound, leaving the student frozen in shock at the sight. He scrambles back, shocked to realize he's facing a girl. Boku spoke like a man but never claimed to be one. Wiping blood from her wound, he figured she was just a total tomboy. He patches her wounds and stops the bleeding. She wakes up dazed, asking where she is, then looks at the boy and asks if he's the one who treated her. She pulled the cloak over to cover up. Shaking, she grabbed the shard, thanked him, and yanked it out. He watched in awe as she sat beside him. He asks why she did it. Blushing, she confesses it was the only way to heal, leaving Haruto stunned. Chanting her spell, she summons the surrounding spirits to mend her with healing magic. He watched in awe as her magic closed the other girl's wound until it vanished. The hero praises her incredible healing, but she nervously brushes it off, insisting Saan is the truly amazing one. She introduces herself as Celestia O'Lof, but everyone calls her Celis. Grinning, the boy introduces himself and brags about his experience, claiming he's a true adventurer. Mid-chat, the smoke around the fallen golem clears. Gerudo grips his sword. A figure emerges from the smoke. It's not the monster chasing him. A towering new object appeared, calling the old model clumsy. The monster's head blazed as it glared at Haruto, demanding to know why he was there. Shielding Celeste. The boy vows to save her, demanding to know if this monster is a demon. He realizes its head matches the bullet from the church basement, sparking a surge of mixed emotions. The stranger pauses, then shrugs. He never asked the kid, and it doesn't matter anyway. The villain lunges, annoyed. The hero snaps and tells him to wait. Gerudo eyes the giant, charges, and delivers a sharp slash to its side. Haruto stared in shock as his expensive blade chipped away. Was this a sick joke? He'd paid a fortune for this sword, and now it was total trash. Haruto's wallowing in sorrow when Celis snaps him back, warning him the golem's armor negates magic, making even enchanted swords useless. The boy eyes the magic silencer as Golem realizes this elf is actually sharp. Waving his hand, the giant knew. She understood she'd tried breaking his shell too many times. Haruto jumps back in, but Golem's armor is a serious problem. He keeps fighting, realizing his strike actually worked. Gerudo's found the weakness aim for the golem's joints. The stranger leaps back to the wall, then freezes, staring at his leg in shock. Haruto's stunned. The golem's leg is frozen solid, stopping it cold. Reaching for the golem, the elf begs her savior to stop the beast. Haruto swings with full force, instantly piercing the golem's joint. The stranger swings to shove Haruto back, sighs, and summons a fireball. Gerudo smirks, realizing Golem failed to fully stop the magic. The monster's arm slams into the dirt. Gerudo stays on guard. But the golem just laughs, clutching its shoulder and admitting it underestimated his power. Selly sits in her robe as the stranger admits he never expected to win. Haruto asks if the golem finally chose for itself. He agrees, planning his escape, but the man just smirks. Here too isn't letting him go that easily. The golem claimed escaping the boy was easy and pointed to the side. Following the golem's lead, Haturo and Celis are suddenly ambushed by a massive swarm of mini-golems from behind. Gerudo and the elf stared in horror at the massive swarm of killer machines. Gerudo warns the girl to stay safe, but mid-battle, he quietly retreats to escape certain death. Haruto panted, staring at his trash-dented blade. The loss stung, but they were finally safe. What was the deal with those mechanical monsters? Gerudo smiles, thanking the girl for stopping the golem and admitting the boy would have struggled without her help. Sally blushed, awkwardly denying it and calling the girl totally useless. Surfacing, the boy's still confused. That church-like dread from before the fight is gone, leaving him totally lost on what's even happening. He paid a price. His sword's trashed and his clothes are shredded. He pictured his 4 girls as loyal servants, healing his body and soul while protecting him. Stepping outside, the marquee's teachers greet them. Haruto's dream is finally within reach. Used to the antics, the boy isn't surprised, while the girl sarcastically asks about the punishment. Lauria stood proud, ready to punish him. But he didn't resist. He loved every second of her attention. As she punishes him, the crowd is stunned not just by her violence, but because he's actually enjoying it. 3 days after he hit the dungeon, a pig frog freak shows up at the hotel, dead set that Rufino is his fiancée. As the man nears Rufina, El Orior remembers the boy's command Don-T, let him touch the princess. Lauria attacks for no reason, smashing the man's face and knocking out a tooth. The blow blasts him through the wall. Rufina needs protection, but she isn't untouchable. Laurie took him literally. After attacking, she felt relieved she'd kept the man away from Rufina. He snaps back, but instead of a brawl, he begs Laurier to hit him again. The girls are impressed, but Laurie stays cool, slyly smirking as she savors his embarrassment. He trains like a beast. A week later, his gut is already shrinking, all for one reason, another punishment from Laurie. Back from the dungeon, he freezes in shock. Lauria is actually training a man. Lauria dives into his arms, thrilled he's back, and Haruto basks in her genuine affection. The pair share a joyful embrace, and seeing Lauria's progress, the man halts the training. The man scowled as Haruto crashed their training, but her eyes were already glued to the newcomer. Haruto bristled at the man's arrogant gaze, a look of pure superiority. Night blankets the city, stars fill the sky, but the moon outshines them all. Haruto skipped the weapon talk with Rafina to finally relax, but he wasn't alone in his room. The boys just wanted to chill, but Haruto dreamed of 4 girls lying in bed. He loved having them close. He pleasured one, the rest followed, and Haruto plunged them into pure bliss, his perfect paradise. He was mesmerized. Every girl was unique, each drawing him in with her own special charm. Haruto loved making the girls blush, finding pure joy in every interaction. They were his treasure. Seeing them refueled his strength. Haruto's vacation was a total win. He gave every girl pure bliss and left with 0 complaints. Next day, the girls gather at the hotel minus Lori for a briefing. While he finishes his prep before meeting the marquee, he pulls her aside. Laurier demands to know why he ditched the others. Haruto makes a request and she is hooked. She is determined to uncover his wish. The boy demanded she do it this instant. He begs her to step on him just like the other guy. Laurie's embarrassed, but she secretly loves it. The boy craved this feeling. He refused to lose to this man. Laurie nodded silently, keeping her secrets, then ordered the boy to hit the dirt. Haruto hits the ground and she obeys. He watches eagerly while she feels the awkward tension. Awkward at first, she soon fell for him. Now, Laurie's relentlessly hounding him with pure energy. Laurie relished her power, smirking mockingly as she realized Haruto was hooked on her touch. She draws closer and he feels pure pleasure. No pain, just total joy. Haruto unlocked a new world of pleasure, getting exactly what he wanted. Once she obeyed, his sense of defeat vanished. Haruto felt superior. He knew the man envied him, and now he'd lose to him again. Haruto loved Laurie taking charge, and now he wants 3 more girls to do the same. A prankster, a princess, and a maid were all right there. He dreamed of their touch, as gentle as Laurie's. Laurie sparked a new fire. Now he's taking back control. An elf creeps up, watching the group in awe, but Laurie and Haruto spot her instantly. The marquee personally invited her. She tearfully explains it to the crowd, but her brother is a no-show. She went to investigate. While the elf distracted the group, Lauria confidently closed in on the boy. Overcome with shame, the elf girl bolts. Haruto wants to stop her, but confusion freezes him as she vanishes into the distance. Laurie panicked as the experiment peaked, and Hart cringed. The elf saw everything. 2 girls watched from the window, smiling. Laurie wanted more, but the boy was done. They felt great, but it was time to stop. Inside, the exhausted boy spots the marquee, who apologizes for being late and greets the room. The man apologizes for being late, but Princess Rufina isn't mad at all. The marquee apologizes to the girl and thanks Haruto for the labyrinth. Save Haruto accepts with dignity. Unrolling the scroll, the marquee admits he knows why they're here and doesn't deny a thing. Haruto was relieved he didn't object, knowing the marquis's son was obsessed with Laurie. The boy had his answers, but the marquise was stuck until a subordinate brought in a mysterious cloth-wrapped object. That's the golem's hand from their dungeon fight. As he stares, the elf girl stands. She checks the golem's hand and realizes it's built with modern tech. He's hooked that Selly knows about golem's hand, but she's terrified and confused by his attention. Selai was wary after what she saw, and Gerudo was powerless to change her mind. The marquise says Celis is the class genius, outsmarting even the teachers. The marquise tasks Haruto with finding Golem. The beast fled after taking its owner's arm, and since the marquise is stuck in his territory, he needs the boy to track it down. He almost refused, but remembered the marquise arrived with Rafina Plus. He was curious about the golem. Haruto accepts the deal, eager to see the giant, much to the marquise's relief. Laurie and the girls are sick of this talk. Haruto stands there lost, having no clue where the golem is headed. The marquis asks them to stay another month while he digs up more intel. But his real goal was different. Celis would be done studying, so the marquis brought her along. The boy froze, baffled by the man's intent, as Gerudo turned to eye the girl closely. He knew the marquis wanted them to stay for the elf girl, but she was way too shy. Bonding in the dungeons gave Gerudo a fresh reason to get close to Celis. This felt like destiny, a shot at a cute elf girlfriend. His mind was already spiraling with fantasies. Haruto blushes thinking of his dream girl, but his creepy grin scares Celis. Lost in a daydream, the boy only snaps back when the girl next to him elbows him. Under the warm sun and lush trees, Haruto relaxes on a bench in a park at the edge of the city. Haruto relaxes alone on a bench. Soaking in the silence, Sharon and Mina are shopping, while Rafina and Laurie hunt weak monsters. He was skeptical at first, but their teamwork was elite. Rafina's a master negotiator, and Laurier's a beast in combat. He's relieved their bonding. Constant fighting would have been a total nightmare. Every night, all five slept in one bed. The guy had stamina but was alone in that. And despite Garuto's repeated suggestions to take turns, the girls refused. He didn't want to swap places or be separated from the girls. Waking up in paradise every morning surrounded by girls, he finally knew what a real harem was. Garuto gives in to the feeling. As he is thinking, a girl approaches. Silas arrived. Garuto demanded answers, but she'd already tracked him down, using a tip from the hotel. Sellers hands Haruto the package he's been dying for. She brought it just for him. He grabs the package and thanks her, but she wonders why he needs this specific item. Haruto explains it's not for him, it's for the redhead Sharon. Rap explained, Silas timidly approaches the boy with a request. She insists she can handle herself and asks him to teach her how to be a real adventurer. Garuto saw a perfect chance to get close to Sally's shocked. She didn't hate him. He gladly agreed to help. Thrilled he agreed, she flashes a shy smile and thanks him for the help. Garuto catches her happy gaze and smiles back, finding her genuine joy adorable. Unsure what to teach, he searched for training methods. Martial arts was the only thing he'd ever taught. Haruto's mind is racing. He wants to pull a classic wizard move and make her try on different outfits, and he isn't letting this golden opportunity slip. He obsessed over the girl so much his expression terrified Silas. He's still lost in his fantasies while the panicked girl bails and bolts home. He had 2 weeks to impress Cells, certain he could make her fall for him. He hated the news. If Sally joins training, he'll have to stop messing with other girls. He's crushed. Chasing Celis was a mistake, and now he's losing control. The girls close in. Sharon panics at his worried look, while Mina calmly tracks his every move. Garuto quickly pulled himself together, mortified she'd seen him lose his cool. Silly's gone, Garuto panics, searching for her, but she's already far away. The boy grabs the bundle and hands it to Sharon, leaving her stunned by the sudden gift. She unwraps the cloth, and out falls the item. The boy asks Cecilia to find a glove. He remembered her wanting this glove in Torres. It's forged from the legendary golem's hand. This glove negates almost all magic, making it the perfect tool for Sharon the conductor. She slid the gloves on instantly. Sharon loved them. They were perfect. Sharon offers Garuto the bag, thinking it suits him better, but he refuses. It'd mess with his magic. Sharon lacks offensive magic, making her perfect for the gauntlet. She beamed at his words in the gift, gladly accepting the glove. Haruto watched warmly as she held up her new gloves, beaming with excitement. He forgot her joy, his eyes now fixed on her stunning features and curves. Caught staring at Sharon, his face turns beet red as he frantically scrambles for an excuse to look away. Haruto spots Mina in her maid outfit and calls out. She turns, asking what he needs. One look at his dark gaze, and she knew his plan instantly. Mina offers to fulfill his wish, pointing to a nearby building and asking if it works. Stunned, his face turns beet red. He never expected her to see through him so fast. He hesitates, then awkwardly accepts the maid's offer as she jumps into action. Mina rushes to the cheerful Sharon, grabs her hand and pulls her inside, catching her off guard. Sharon's baffled as she's forced inside, but the boy just smiles, leaving Celis's prep for tomorrow. Now naked, Garuto focused on the two girls, seeking total relaxation and pleasure. Chilling with Sharon, Garuto's mind drifts to Mina. How did she read him just from her name? He finally realizes he's an open book. The maids were incredible. Now, Haruto focuses on Mina to give her real pleasure. Haruto nibbles Mina's cat ear, hitting her sensitive spot and making her whole body tremble. He starts eyeing both girls, and Mina and Sharon soak up the attention. Exhausted but satisfied, they finally collapsed onto the bed, basking in the feeling. Garuto and Selly hit the library, and the boy is hyped by the massive sea of books. Haruto explores while the girl explains the library, a massive collection that puts even the kingdom's capital to shame. Seely found the boy's book, A Guide to National History and Ancient Legends. To understand this world, he immediately had Celis take him to the library. She climbs the stairs, scouring the shelf for the boy's book while he watches her every move. Garuto wanted something else entirely. One look made his eyes sparkle and his face flush red. The view was perfect. She reached for a book on the top shelf, but he was busy checking her out. Her baggy shorts hid the view, but he still couldn't take his eyes off Salis. He steadied himself and focused. He apologized to the library, but he loved the view. Sale grabs the books and tells the boy to start with Genesis of Ardugas. He accepted the offer, entering the unknown. Gerudo expected Ardugas to mirror Andalusia. Arudo asks Silas to read aloud, and she instantly agrees. Silas explained the world's creation and Mila's founding, but the history provided zero proof of Haruto being in Andalusia. Haruto slumped in despair. Still no word on Andalagia, and Selly's worry only grew. The boy calms the panicked elf, finally certain he's left Andalusia for a whole new world. The boy frowned, uneasy. He had no clue how he ended up in this world. Even as night falls, Haruto doubts he's actually in Andalusia. He memorized every detail and did everything to get here, but something feels wrong. This is a different world with its own history, yet the magic and civilization are identical to Andalusia. Haruto stopped worrying. He loved this world, his hero identity was safe, and no one was sending him back to Earth. He had to see the friends he'd journeyed with for 3 long years. He wasn't upset, he accepted they'd never meet again. Seely caught a flash of loneliness on his face and immediately worried if he was okay. He insisted he was fine and thanked Rukav for the books, leaving her flustered. Helping her shelve books, Haruto thinks of his old friends. They likely still regret his exile to Earth, but he just hopes they're finally enjoying life. Haruto grinned, picturing Mina's sweet trap right here in the library. Haruto imagines a shy Mina trying to stay quiet in the library, but he knows in reality she'd never be able to hold back. Garutella stared into space, drooling as he lost himself in fantasies about the maid. The boy's bold stare made Sally tremble, tears of shame stinging her eyes. Garuto wakes up to find he's terrified her again. She's still shaken by his gaze, and he knows Celis needs time to trust him. Deep in the forest, the boy scans his map, trying to pinpoint his location. Haruto locks onto the map, scanning every detail of the terrain. Haruto checks the map he's arrived. He just left the guild to tackle this new quest. Rare herbs grow deep here, but he's not picking flowers. He's hunting the beast that trashed the glade. And the tracks point to an orc. Previous adventurers vanished and were forgotten, so aboard Haruto takes the mission to boost his reputation. The real reason orc parts are worth a fortune. These ingredients brew powerful healing tinctures, instantly restoring strength and stamina. He needed those healing herbs fast, so he took the job instantly. Back from the dungeon, he barely lasted a few rounds with the girls, blaming his poor performance on the long dry spell. He passed out after giving Sharon the glove, but exhaustion couldn't stop his grind to grow the harem. Desperate for a strength boost, Giroto used magic to scan the forest for the potion. He finds an orc on the outskirts, but senses others nearby. Closing in, he finds an orc mid-battle. He's stunned by 2 warriors' guts, the only ones brave enough to face the beast. He spoke too soon, the strangers crushed the orc, leaving the boy stunned. The slain giant slams down, shaking the very earth. The strangers spot the boy and demand answers, a girl among them. Rudo tries to introduce himself, but she shuts him down. She knows he used magic to find them. The strange girl steps up and demands to know what he wants, her bluntness leaving him totally speechless. She's mocking him, cutting him off before he can even explain the truth. Once calm, he repeats he's a traveler hunting an orc. The girl snaps for not saying so sooner, but he insists he tried to tell them from the start. Explanation over, she nears the orc-esque body and starts stripping him. The girl whips out a steel rod and shreds the orc, much to the boy's annoyance. She finishes neatly folding the orc-esque remains into a canvas bag. Her friend approached cloaked and hooded to hide his face. The stranger whispered, asking for the way to Iris. Garuto maps out the road to Iris, but he doesn't even say thanks, accepting the intel with total indifference. Hearing the stranger speak, the boy realizes it's not a man. It's another girl just as bizarre as his companion. Sensing danger, he turns back to escort them to the city. They agree, but demand his name first. The boy introduces himself as Amagi Haruto. The girls freeze. The name sounds familiar. She lunges with a killing blow, but Gerudo manages to block the strike. Stunned by the ambush, the boy screams, clueless why she's lunging at him. The strange girl leaps back, smirking as she admits he's strong for blocking her strike. She asks for the next move, and he confidently guarantees they're safe. The hooded stranger calls Harato's face the most indecent of all, leaving the boy gasping in shock. No time to react, grinning wide, she lunges again, ready to strike. She leaps past her opponent, bearing razor-sharp claws for a lethal strike. She lunges forward, delivering a brutal strike. He was ready, parrying her strike with his steel sword while barely holding his ground. Sword and claws clash with a piercing screech. He finally realizes they're out to destroy him. He didn't understand the situation, but he knew these guys were enemies. They had to go. He focused and unleashed his magic. The exotic girl senses the magic and evades Earthbind, stunning Haruto. He's stunned, she dodged before his spell even fired, and she's shocked he can cast magic without a word. His magic-coated blade is just as impressive. Against anyone else, her claws would have ended this long ago. Garudo wonders how she knows so much, but a cloaked girl interrupts, ordering her partner to take him out. The strange girl took the order and passed it off. The man fumed as the cloaked woman ignored his questions. Haruto wanted answers. Driven by rage, he charged his enemies head-on. Enraged, he recasts earth magic vines erupt, snaring the enemies and toppling them. Vines snare his enemies, crushing their resistance as the blonde watches in terror. She fights the vines, but they've got her pinned. Smirking at his win, the boy tells her to give up. Ignoring him, she thrashed against the vines in vain while he demanded to know why he was attacked. A cloaked man confirmed his suspicion. One monster wasn't enough to take him down. Haruto freezes as the cloaked man's voice turns masculine, but the stranger is already lunging to strike. The piercing blast forced the boy to cover his ears. The girl flinched, the rumble sending a sharp pain through her head. Haruto sensed trouble. A sharp sound rang out, dread tightening in his chest. Something bad was coming. Paralyzed by the blast, he triggers earthen wall, sending the ground shooting up. The cloaked stranger disintegrates and explodes, but the boy stays calm, raising an earth wall to tank the blast. She survived the blast, but stone shards pelted her as the vines held her motionless. He exhales in relief. 1 second later, and it would have been game over. Haruto spots the survivor. She's unscathed after the blast. Her strength is insane. He turns to the pinned girl, asking if her companion is a golem. She had no clue who he was, and her ignorance set him off. Haruto's annoyed by the group attack, but the girl's innocent look proves she's not lying. Crazy as it sounds, he'd already met her lookalike Lauria. He needs answers. Aiming his weapon at the girl, he demands info on her partner. She stays silent. She's hired, and client info is strictly off-limits. She admitted defeat, telling him to do whatever he wanted. He grabbed a vine and enchanted it. Liana tightens her grip, coating the girl in slime as she reels from the strange sensations. Masked and smirking, Haruto grills the girl, demanding her name, their mission, and why they're here. She mocks him and refuses to talk. Haruto grins, blasting Liana with magic again. Green vines erupt from all sides, binding the paralyzed girl as she gasps in shock. New grapevines snare her, but they're different, pulsing with a mysterious liquid. He grins as his water flow spell turns the vines into a slippery, sticky mess. 2 hours later, she's still bound by vines, trembling and gasping dreamily. Suddenly hit with new emotions, she's on cloud 9 and bursts into happy tears. Haruto smirked at his clear victory. The girl was finished, broken by the sting of his grape whips. He won, but his soul felt heavy. Seeing her tangled in those vines was hauntingly alluring. Overwhelmed by strange sensations, the girl screams as blinding light erupts, forcing the boy to shield his eyes. Haruto's baffled, the light fades, and the girl shrinks right before his eyes. Vines vanish, and she hits the dirt, bound by clay and roots. But the grip is looser this time. Her body changed. She shrank and looked younger, now a real little girl. He's stunned by her transformation. She's a full-grown teenager now. Breaking free from the vines, she charges the boy, throwing weak punches and blaming him for stealing all her stored magic. Haruto ignored her attacks, stunned by her sudden change as the beast woman's true nature finally emerged. She bursts into tears. Warriors live for sacrifice, but she's feeling a strange new warmth. She turns to the boy and demands he take responsibility. Her talk of responsibility and new look have Haruto completely hooked. He can't focus on anything else. Flustered and confused, his face turns beet red as cold sweat drips down his back. He tells Tanya to quiet down, but she lies motionless on his shoulder. Haruto learns her name is Beast Tanya, but she's squirming as he hauls her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. He's escorting her to the guild himself and tells her to finally relax. He threatened to hand her to the guild, sending the girl into a total panic. She demanded he let go, but her squirming annoyed Haruto. He wondered when she'd finally stop screaming. Panic fades as she remembers his power. Standing near Haruto recharges her magic. Tanya's a beast-demon hybrid with no memory of her past and a personality that's a total nightmare. Tanya bites Haruto, making him scream. She sinks her teeth deeper into his shoulder. He just makes her feel uneasy. Repulsed, he shoves her away, slamming Tanya face first into the dirt. She hits the ground in tears, nose throbbing, while the boy fumes at her actions. She didn't care. She was fuming. His rejection stung her pride, and she had no clue why. Still fuming, he grabs Tanya's head and shakes her as she tearfully begs him to stop. Haruto stops shaking her, but keeps his hand on her head. Tanya warns him he's leaking massive mana. If she eats even a drop, it'll only surge higher. He realized she wanted to eat him. Shocked, he yanked her cheek to shut it down. We warned her to stop. If Tanya pulls another stunt, she's facing serious punishment. Trusting his word, but Tanya still craved his magic and asked Haruto for a touch. He hesitated but agreed, loving her warmth and the feel of her embrace. Haruto finally hits the city with the girl on his shoulders, planning his next move. He's torn. He could hand her to the knights, but something stops him. Knights swarm the streets of Iris, but the guilds hold the real power. Hartop chose a familiar guild for the girl and happily stepped inside. No one cheers. They just stare in total shock, unable to believe their eyes. Haruto тільки що зайшов до гільдії з маленькою дівчинкою, і всі починають неправильно розуміти ситуацію. Tanya screams kidnapping, forcing Haruto to spend a full hour clearing his name and fixing the mess. Inside the room, he offers her a deal, still fuming from earlier. He cleared the air and the guild put Tanya in his care. No reward for catching her besides, she's just a kid. He laid out the deal. He'd restore Tanya's magic and let her attack him. She explains her partner's mantle explosion and why Tanya attacked Haruto. Tanya pauses at the terms but quickly accepts, catching the boy off guard. Haruto's stunned. He was ready to argue, but she accepts instantly. Now an adult, Tanya leaves the village to become an adventurer, her hybrid blood giving her a massive edge over ordinary humans. She craves strong opponents, and the thought weighed him down. The demon's pre-battle hype baffled him until he remembered Lauria. She acted just like them. Tanya tells her boyfriend everything. A month ago, two cloaked strangers warned her the powerful mage Garudo has arrived in Iris. A stranger challenged Hania to find him and test her power. After a month-long trek, fate brings them face-to-face in the forest. For a full month, Tanya's companion never ditched the hood, and they barely spoke. Garut realized Tanya was clueless. Nobody obeys a total stranger that easily. Tanya ignored his secrets, so the blast shocked them both. Haruto realized she was dead weight. He scowled at the carefree girl, haunted by questions that kept him restless. Tanya's partner is a golem, and her other one-armed friend stayed behind. They met in a border town east of Iris. In this new land, the escaped golem ignores the girls, locking its sights solely on Haruto. Sally should have been the target, but the golem only wanted one boy. He brushed off the news, putting the golem aside, but then his door burst open. Sharon and Princess Rafina burst in, Sharon happily announcing their return. No answers, just a fuming Haruto sitting with a strange, mysterious girl. Sharon's smile vanished. She was pissed, and neither she nor Rafina knew where this girl came from. The boy catches the girls up over a massive feast, but a frustrated Tanya demands her magic back mid-meal. He calls Lauria, catching her mid-tea and pastries. Garudo wants to transfer mana to Tanya like she did for Sharon. Lauria says it's easy. Tanya stops by the wall. Lauria raises her hands, and the magic restoration begins. Tanya realized she wasn't aging. She was still stuck as a little girl. Lauria says recovery is over, but Tanya's livid. She's still stuck in her kid body. Tanya finally snaps at the boy, frustrated that she hasn't changed at all. Lauria snaps back, revealing she needs a kiss to restore her magic. Garudo stared at Lauria, totally lost, and asked what she meant. Lauria confirms the truth, touching the boy instantly restores Tanya's magic, and even Lauria gets a massive mana boost, especially at night. The girl laughed, but Sharon was stunned. She felt nothing when she touched him. Lauria insists Sharon's just a normal human, but Garudo's still confused about what happened that night. He's flustered by Tanya's romantic hint, but she's only excited the kiss will refill her mana. Tanya closes in to restore her magic, catching a confused Garudo off guard. Парень неловко поднял маленькую девочку Таню на кровать, стараясь преодолеть свое смущение. Garudo felt guilty facing the tiny girl, but he pushed past his doubts and grabbed her cheeks. Garudo leans in and kisses Tanya, restoring her magic. Recovery continues as three girls watch Sharon blushes, her eyes glued to Haruto and Tani. The boy pulls back, face flushed as he recovers his mana. Tanya feels her magic surge back. Garudo's stunned. She wants to restore his strength, but his mana hasn't even dropped. Still not satisfied, Tanya confronts the boy and demands he restart the magic restoration. He didn't hesitate. As they touched, her mana reserves began to refill once again. The heat was rising. Now recovered, she looked irresistible, but she was totally oblivious. Lauria grabs Tanya's shoulder, whispering there's a way faster than kissing to refill mana. Tanya's hooked and demands to know how. The girls find a new way to restore the reservoir. Tanya approaches the guy while Lauria watches with a devious smirk. Tanya strikes a flirty pose and asks Haruto to try accelerated recovery with her. Garudo couldn't resist. Her seductive look shattered his composure, and he lunged straight for Tanya. Winter's freezing, but Haruto doesn't feel the chill. He's fast asleep, surrounded by a warm circle of girls. Haruto wakes up cozy next to the girls, but he's got to get up. Garudo rose, stroking the sleeping Rafina and Sharon before sitting back to watch them. He spotted the exotic girl. She'd aged. Tanya stood taller than Lauria, but shorter than Mina. The magic transfer works, but the girl's sudden growth spurt terrifies the boy. Her growth scales with magic. Haruto would sacrifice all his mana just to see Tanya's original form again. His harem grows even bigger as another girl joins the mix. Haruto tests a new forest trick, fusing binding earth and flowing water into slippery vines. Sharon shocks him by volunteering first, and slimy vines instantly wrap her tight. Haruto learns Sharon's into the experiments. Seeing her among the vines, he smirks. No resistance, no disgust. They followed every order, and Haruto hit the jackpot. Haruto's lost in thought, but the girls are already seated. He snaps back and greets the group. The meeting finally begins. Only Princess Rafina and Haruto show up for their side. Night Order reports led them to a secret cave entrance, but a landslide buried the path. Now, they've tracked it to the forest east of the city. Rafina listens in silence, but the boy is floored to learn a secret entrance exists. He kept talking, confirming the golem was heading east. If the golem crosses the border, it's unreachable, and the marquee heard everything. He invites Rufina to join the journey, promising to support her whenever she needs it. Report finished, Haruto scores an iron pass as ticket across the border. He promised gear and gold for the journey. Rufina bowed, thanking Marquise Cordado. Rudo watched her bow in awe. She looked like a literal princess and was insanely cute. Escaping the meeting, Rufina and Haruto hit the streets while Amagi's just glad he got a pass. Rufina locks eyes with a mysterious smile, reminding the boy of last night and praising him. Gerudo blushes, turning to Rufina. She's impressed he found a perfect solution where everyone wins. She grabbed his hand and pressed close, knowing tomorrow they're finished. Everything's changed. She shoots him a look, and Rudo instantly knows what she wants. Group fun was great, but he needed solo time with each girl to really get close. Bonding takes effort. Alone in a room, the tension between him and Rufina is already electric. He stares at the excited girl. Blushing, she eagerly waits for his move, her eyes drawing him closer. Their shadows fused as they both hit pure bliss. It felt incredible. He loved making her happy. And just like that, his dreams were finally coming true. Tanya watches birds soar while the boy and Lauria relax on a rooftop bench. Haruto stared below Silasan and Mina prepped food, but his eyes were locked on Siles. Gloria and Tanya wonder what caught his eye. He just smiles, picturing someone in an apron. He tells the girls his dream seeing someone in nothing but an apron. Tanya was clueless. Gerudo explained the temptation. But she still didn't get it. Gloria laughed off his nonsense, leaving him totally embarrassed. He sighed, calling the girls unattractive. Lori turned pale with sadness. Gerudo felt awkward, worried his comments on looks hit Lauria's sore spot. Lori had other plans, leaning in to press herself against him. She smiles, saying looks don't matter for pleasure as Tanya feels his magic surge. She hugged him back, loving his charm. Haruto realized his excitement was fueling a massive magical surge. Lori leaning on Tanya sends Gerudo into a sweat. He's burning up and needs a bath. He gets a sudden idea since they aren't busy. He tells the girls they're having a real swimming day. He heads down to prep a spell for a swimming day. Celise is worried. Controlling that substance takes massive power, and he's already hitting his limit. Haruto wasn't worried about running out of magic. He had total faith in his power. He was once a hero, he chants without hesitation, instantly unleashing Earth's bath. He digs using Earth's bath magic, making the water dense, strong, and crystal clear. The boy unearths a spring and stops the sudden burst. He grabs Haruto, blasts water into the pit, and boils it with a firebomb. An hour later, a new bathhouse replaces the old site. Its heated pool drawing in everyone looking to relax. The girls are floored, crowding the water to witness the boy's impossible feat. Celias is especially stunned. Water is a rare treasure here, and he just hauled in a... Haruto loved the praise for Celis, realizing the girl wasn't afraid of him anymore. Blushing, he looks at Celie, desperate to hear her praise again. She panics seeing only one bathtub, but he smirks and suggests they all jump in together. Silas is stunned. He's joining the girls. She almost suggested taking turns, but he argues the water will cool down, and he's too drained to reheat it. She shyly agreed, getting his point. He grinned, waiting for her to jump in. Sil refuses to swim after learning they're sharing a bath, and the Gaia's plan falls apart. Sil's refusal upsets the boy, so Sharon steps in to find out why she's avoiding the restroom. Sharon pushes for a bath, but Sally refuses to budge. The boy's hyped by the surprise support as Sharon tells Sally that Gerudo is now their official protector. He accepts defeat. Celis is shocked. He's skipping the bath after the struggle to heat the water, but Sharon exposes his lie. Sharon calls out, but the girl's dark, lethal glare freezes him instantly, leaving him speechless. With the bath sealed from peepers, the girls enjoy the soak while the guy sits there fuming. Haruto skips the swim to stay on guard. He could track them with search magic, but he's keeping that power a secret. Searching for the spell let him spy on her bathing. Back in the arena, Gerudo and Sharon spar. Sharon lands a perfect hit, catching him off guard and shocking even herself. Lori watched, arms crossed, the girl beamed. Her friend had finally succeeded. Sharon cheered. She finally landed a solid hit on the guy. Rudo praises Sharon's growth, and she bows in thanks without his training. She couldn't even land a hit. Gerudo ignores her thanks, simply smiling as he ruffles her hair. In the forest, he levels up their training, leaving Sharon stunned. Gerudo's done being soft, now the real training begins. Sharon dropped into a stance, ready for the brutal training ahead. Sharon lunges with a punch, but he dodges instantly. She kept pace, unleashing a relentless barrage, but she couldn't land a single hit. Sharon's fuming, sweating, she ditches the fists and starts blasting kicks. She swings for his head, but he reads the move and leaps back. Sharon's impressed he dodged. She fires a second kick, but he instantly jams it with his leg. Rudo grabs Sharon's hand and yanks her close before she can even scream. Haruto slams her down, finally pinning her to the ground. He shoves her onto the green grass, leaving her staring helplessly at the vast blue sky. Lauria watched the guy pin Sharon, feeling zero concern for her friend. Slammed onto her back, Sharon gasped for air, struggling to regain her composure. Sharon gasps for air as Haruto looms over her, staring her down and stepping closer. Lauria shuts her eyes to avoid the awkwardness, but Haruto's touch makes her gasp in embarrassment. He loved her touch, her body fitting perfectly in his hands. Losing meant punishment. He'd promised to take her seriously, leaving Sharon feeling awkward. Haruto kept touching Sharon, squeezing the beads in her hand until she shivered from his touch. Sharon's body was built for him, and Haruto savored every second. Sharon's beauty stuns him, but he quickly snaps back. He's not alone. The girl he defeated and Lauria are right there. Her icy glare cut right through him. She hated his every move, and he felt Lauria was looking down on him more than ever. Confused, he backed away from Sharon, acting like nothing happened so Silly wouldn't notice. Silas saw everything. She stood trembling, eyes welling with terror as she watched them. She catches him staring and bolts from the group. Gart tries to stop her, but she's too fast. Head down, he watched her walk away, clueless about his next move. Sharon panted, struggling for composure as his touch burned in her mind. Haruto touches Sharon again, catching her completely off guard. Haruto ignored Lauria, struggling to handle Salise's fate as his spiraling anxiety pushed him to the brink of madness. Nearby, Mina preps dinner while Rafina and Tanya relax, ignoring Sharon's massive size. Night fell and Haruto slipped away. Checking his back, he fled far from home. He pulls out his phone, grins at the screen, and hits the power button. Haruto scrolls his phone, reviewing the explicit photos he uploaded before leaving Earth. Celeste sneaks up behind him. Surprised he's not at home, she scares the boy into a panicked scream. Haruto hides his phone and panics when Celia's gone, but she was just in the bathroom. Haruto sighs in relief she didn't notice. Behind his back, he pulls out his phone. He showed her the strange device, and she eyed the phone with interest. Celis stared at the phone, dying to see the wonder in the boy's hands. Seeing Celis' shock, he quickly explains it's a smartphone. She inspects the phone, but panics when the screen dies. He quickly calms her down. It's totally fine. He snatched the phone, fired up the camera, and showed her the ropes, leaving Celis blown away by tech she'd never imagined. Ciel had no clue how this tech worked, magic or not. The boy's creation baffled her, especially those strange, mysterious symbols. Guru tries to explain, but she's glued to her phone until a sudden noise blasts from the device, startling Celis. He snatches her phone and kills the ringer. She stares in blushing awe, convinced he's a total tech pro. Celia instinctively asks to see his phone, catching Gerudo off guard with her sudden curiosity. Avoiding her gaze, he refuses, terrified she'll find his secret stash of spicy photos. Siri steps closer than ever, staring at Haruto with hopeful puppy eyes. He saw his chance to get close to Sally now they'd bond while exploring the phone. One problem: if Haruto deletes these photos, they're gone forever. They're his only real memories of Earth. Celis mistakes his silence for rejection, so he reluctantly agrees despite his own doubts. Doubts vanished. With so many girls around, he didn't need photos anymore. He finally calms down and checks the phone, making her thrilled. Celis was hyped to finally explore the phone and gave the boy a heartfelt thanks. Haruto tells her it's too late to study today and pushes it to tomorrow. She heads home, they trade goodnights, and call it a night. Haruto wipes his phone, ditching every photo. The data's gone, but the memories stay forever. Next morning, he circles the girls up to explain a new type of magic. Sharon asks Haruto about his magic. Since she only uses enhancement, she's curious what he's got. Haruto reveals today's lesson: fire magic. It's useless in combat, but perfect for everyday life. The girls wonder how fire magic works. The boy keeps talking, wishing a sailor would explain the details. Haruto calls Celis to the board. She stands and strides confidently to the center. Ciel tinkers with the board, while the boy asks Tanya and Lauria if they can use fire magic. Lauria and Tani couldn't use this magic. Lauria stayed calm, but Tani was annoyed. Irritating annoyed. Celis was ready. Fire magic is easy, just ask the fire spirit for a flame. Celise's lesson blew Gerudo's mind. He'd always just visualized fire, never thinking to ask the spirit for help. Celise caught his reaction, but he quickly masked it and told her to keep teaching. Celis resumed the lesson. A total genius, she made everything click instantly. Even with her help, magic is brutal, only a few ever reach the top. Gerudo spots Tanya and Lauria sleeping through the magic lesson. Since they're slacking off, he's already planning their punishment. Maid Mina's in a bind, and her magic is failing her. She asks to see his fire magic again. Haruto agrees instantly, it's effortless. Fire ignites on his palm. Silas is shocked, he used magic without a word. Mina's blown away by his raw talent. Mina asks if he sees spirits, ego boosted. The boy says no. Celis was shocked the boy couldn't see spirits, but she still beamed from his praise. Sensing something's off, he questions Sally, but she insists she's fine. Wordless magic requires total spirit harmony. He's shocked spirits actually exist. She admits she's never seen a spirit, only the fairy following the hero. The girls stare at him in shock as the room goes dead silent. Mina never believed in fairies. She asks Celeste what makes them different from spirits. Sally explains fairies are rare mysteries, but legends link them to spirits. Corrado being called a spirit hooks the boy. Celie reveals fairies forge these stones, but the method is a mystery. She pivots, hooked by his power. If he can see spirits, how is he casting wordless magic? Shyly, he explains that just by imagining a crackling fire, a flame burst from his hand, adding goofy poses to keep things light. Celis was baffled by his bizarre behavior, but Mina caught on immediately. Testing his method, a flame ignites in her palms and lights up her face. He grinned as method worked. The girl sparked fire magic, and Seal stared, mesmerized by the flame in her palm. Mina thanked the boy. She finally mastered fire magic and was thrilled. C. Lee was disappointed the confession made zero sense. His weird explanation clicked for Minnie and the girls, but Rafina still didn't get the spell. He stared at Celis, who backed toward the stream in shock, unable to believe everyone mastered magic just from his words. Carriage wheels rumble down the road as the girls peek out, spotting the border town of Marudo ahead. He eyed the border town with a strange girl on his back, making Tanya feel totally awkward. She calls out with shy excitement, but he plays deaf, smiling to himself. She calls him shameless for getting handsy, but Haruto just tells her to get off his back. Tanya froze, enduring his touch. Rafina and Sharon, used to his antics, watched on awkwardly. Haruto recalls the border town Maruto. In this world, Iris and its neighbors are massive. A massive wall splits Marudo in half, and the town hall is the only way in or out. They reach Marudo, Tanya still on his back. He scanned the vibrant, bustling streets. Celeste breaks the news. A famous dungeon sits across town. It's not as deep as Iris's labyrinth, but it's still undefeated. Tanya wanted Maruto's dungeons, but with travel deemed too dangerous, she joined the guild instead. Forget the border. Their target isn't the dungeon. It's the golem. The boy splits the team to get straight to business. He assigned roles, sending Lauria and Rafina to the city authorities with the Marquee's letter for help. Sharon, Sina, and Intania find lodging and head straight to their Adventurers Guild interview. Only Haruto and Mina were left questioning passers-by, but Haruto secretly wanted to explore the city solo. If the golem's in town, he senses it. He turns to his partner. They're starting the search at the outskirts. Garudo's alone with Mina. She grips his hand tight and won't let go. He loved Mina's gentle touch and had zero dark motives. Getting lost would just be a massive headache. He thinks it's a hotel, but the girls in revealing clothes at the door prove him wrong. The boy suspects those red lanterns mean this isn't just a hotel, but Gerudo is totally clueless. How'd he end up here? Mina and Haruto blush at the sight. But the boy knows exactly what he wants. He awkwardly turns to the girl, but strangers suddenly interrupt, mocking him for walking around so casually with such a beauty. Three men block Gerudo and Minnie's path, trading dark looks and leering at the girl with pure indecency. Mina hid behind Gerudo to escape their leering eyes as he stepped up to talk them down. They just laughed and mocked him, sending Gerudo into a blind rage. He ignores them, pushing through the crowd with the girl. One man snatches her arm and yanks her close, leering at her like caught prey. Suddenly, a punch slams his face. No time to block, it's over in a flash. Gerudo's blow floors the man instantly, leaving Mina and his allies stunned. Shaken by the boy's strike, the last two men turn their fear into fury. Haruto strikes on pure reflex. He glares at the group. You started this, so dawn to complain. Annoyed, the blonde draws his dagger and lunges, but Haruto stays cool, tracking the blade as it closes in. One move shattered the man's fighting spirit and forced him to drop his weapon. The boy dodges and taunts. Too slow, the man has no clue what just happened. Haruto lunged, striking the man's weakest point. He flinched, letting out a silent scream. One last hit, and the man was finished, writhing in pain. The blonde turned to the girl. He's stunned. She already took out another guy, but she's frustrated she couldn't go all out. She pinned his shoulders, using her body to trap him completely. The girl heals the men awake, and the boy steps up to the first one. He wakes up bound by ropes, eyes snapping open in terror as he stares at the figure nearby. Gerudo's icy stare pierces the man, who trembles and desperately hunts for an escape. The boy offers freedom for good behavior, and the terrified man accepts instantly. He was never released. Haruto wanted answers, but the man just watched him curiously. Gerudo asks about the golem, but he's never seen a hooded creature missing its right limb. The boy didn't buy it. He asked again, convinced he was facing a secret informant. The man keeps ignoring him, and Haruto snaps. He believes everyone owes him an answer. Haruto turns to leave empty-handed, but one man suddenly remembers a shop nearby. The boy looked up, hooked by the man's talk about the store. After a second interrogation, he lets 3 men go and they bolt, leaving Mina dazed and clueless about her next move. She asks if he's talking about the man the others mentioned, and he confirms her suspicion. Haruto tunes out the girl, fixated on the 5,000 koval price tag. Seeing the cost, she screams in shock. Clutching her suit, she awkwardly stammers Haruto's name and tells him he saved her from the bandits. Blushing, she asks if she should do something nice for him. Mina shyly took his hand and thanked him for the save. Haruto accepted with dignity. Haruto hit his hype, but her words hooked him. He blushed, feeling a massive thrill. He shyly suggests a break, she agrees, and they head to the red light district. Inside, the girl surrenders to his confident touch, her moans echoing through the room. Later, they hit the bathroom. He spots a 5,000 cola tub, weirdly expensive, but worth it. Lost in their own world of pure bliss, he suddenly leans toward her ear. He touches Nina's human ears and asks about them, even though she's a beast folk. He's obsessed with her ears, making her blush. Gerudo wonders, can she hear with both pairs? Mina says the noise is everywhere, making it impossible to tell humans and beast people apart. Only 2 ears, she found it hilarious. How do normal people even manage? The ears were forgotten as they lost themselves in pleasure and gentle touch. Haruto hit Marudo's western outskirts and walked straight into the local tavern. Rafina and Mina are waiting. They greet him warmly as he enters, while the princess lounges on the sofa sipping tea. Haruto greets the girls as they rush back to the shelter. The boy asks about Lauria, and Riffin says she's asleep in her room. Stung by her words, Lauria brushes off the plan to help her and asks if they've learned anything new. No leads and 0 witnesses, but they promise to dig deeper. After hearing her story, he asks about Sharon and the girls. Turns out, they're nothing special. Rifna spots the boy's bag and, curious, asks what he bought. Haruto grins, pulling a pair of leggings from his bag to show the girls. Rafina and Mina are stunned. They've never seen or even heard of leggings before. He explains leggings are basically just stretchy women's underwear. Roaming a Marudo, Haruto spots the shop the man mentioned, everything you need on Romanivska. Leaving Mina behind, he hits the shop solo, stunned by the massive selection. No informant here. It's a romantic cosplay shop. A friendly guy with glasses and a bushy mustache greets him immediately. They sold everything you could dream of: royal night gear, guild uniforms, black cloaks, and iris school mantles. Realizing the guy mistook the maid outfit for a hobby, he explained the shop. His wallet's lighter, but Rafina knows the score. If it makes him happy, she'll rock those new leggings. Mina agreed and invited him back to the store next time. He was thrilled. The trio argues, and Rafina takes the moose trophy Salai wouldn't wear it anyway. The boy asks if Silly can wear them, and Rafina eagerly agrees. Next morning, sunlight floods the room as a loud bird chirps the boy awake. Haruto wakes up yawning, already exhausted. Sleeping alone in this tiny, cramped room feels totally wrong. Bringing Celis to the innkeeper was a mistake. She rejects him, so he's stuck in a separate room. The girls are all in one room, killing Haruto's chance for a nightly visit. Haruto's crushed, a month of waiting and 0 spicy photos. He sighs in total disappointment. Unable to change fate, he focused on the girls, making every date count, starting with Rafina. He takes Lauria to his old hangout with Mina and Rafina, draining his wallet fast. He's a regular now, and everyone knows his face. He stuns the crowd by showing up with Tanya for the 3rd time, and he has 0 regrets. Guilty for ditching him, Sharon and Mina reward him by letting him do whatever he wants with them. Mina grips the bar with beastly endurance while the guy enjoys the show. Mina was an elite maid. Soon, the boy joined the girls and brought joy to everyone. 2 weeks after settling in Marudo, Celis can resist tearing her phone apart. Celis wasn't breaking the device, just studying its layout. But the guy's still panicking over his phone. He'd promised Silly the phone for studying, but charging it was a hassle, so she planned to use magic to power it up. He made Sally scrap her phone. Gerudo's rules kept her silent. Haruto didn't care about the phone rules, he just wanted a date with Celeste. Haruto wanted real feelings, holding hands wasn't enough. She trashed his plants while glued to her phone. She's a born researcher, living to dismantle everything she touches. He remembered her enchanting smile as she happily explored his phone. He saw an angel, but Sally ignored him, laser-focused on disassembling the phone. She strips the phone down and spots something strange, a large black rectangle hidden inside. Touching the massive block, he tells her it's a battery. Silly's stunned, he knows phone tech, but Gardo admits he only understands the battery. Fascinated, he watched her strip the phone down to its wires. Sil tells him to read the battery, but he's clueless, it's all in English. Seamus is frustrated. He can read the text because he dropped out in 6th grade and only knows basic English. He's caught off guard. Salis is finally wearing the leggings Raffin gave her. He's beaming with joy, thanking Rufina for Celeste's leggings and vowing to show his gratitude next time. Lauria corners Celise and Gerudo, terrifying the boy. Her voice forces him to face her. Laurie wakes up starving and asks the guy to grab a bite. Haruto turns her down, explaining he and the Sellies are busy stripping a smartphone. Silas doesn't want her coming, but she reveals she's wearing leggings under her dress. Silas ignored him. But Laurie's behavior terrified the boy into obeying. Silas didn't mind letting him go anyway. Armored knights thunder through the streets. Hearing the hooves, the boy bolts outside to see the commotion. Haruto's back, turns out, he visits every day just to eye the weapons. The mithril sword looked incredible, far outclassing his old weapon. After losing his blade to the golem, he needs a replacement, but the price tag is a total nightmare. He tried to haggle for half off, but the seller refused and tried to kick him out. Empty-handed and fuming, his dream sword felt lost forever, until he returned to the inn and found Raftina. Rafina approaches and calls his name, catching him completely off guard. Rafina ignored it, panicked by something else. She spun to the guy, demanding he follow her immediately. The group uncovers a nightmare a demon just escaped the dungeon. The old man reveals a dungeon legendary among researchers, just 5 days east of Marudo.